Yeah, that cut me off there for a second too. I heard the words and the noise. Oh, I see. It silenced them. The guest has muted themselves. That was CPT. I guess we're live, so that works out. I'll unmute them at some point. But hi there, Johnny Million. Good morning.
Hi.
Hey, what's happening? So, yeah, you too. It's good to be seen. And I think they muted themselves for a reason in Chicago. I think they're like packing up or something along those lines, or maybe there was just an elbow that landed on and some. Oh yeah, it happens. Welcome. I think we're good as far as everybody being able to see us on the live streams. Just about everywhere. Yeah. I didn't realize it till later, but there is a go live thingamadodger like that you have to hit 3 buttons to get us going live instead of just the standard flippings of the switches. And thanks for the comments and reactions, everybody. I'm definitely hearing that in my ear. I hope I to solve that in a moment. There is a ton of news this week. Johnny Million, I have to say, there are times when we're reading from, the newspaper almost in a Sunday funnies kind of feed up way. We're like, I wonder what happened this week. You know what I mean? That I wonder, if there was anything big in the news, right? And and then there are those weeks where you're like, whoa, that was a big story. This week had a big story that ate all the rest of the stories, yes? And then there's a week like we had this week, which I have to say was probably the most absurd news week I have, in a long time, across the board. Let me just put this in context. Our space agency launched the largest rocket in history on Wednesday, and as of an hour and almost 2 hours ago, it is more than halfway to the moon. It is closer to the moon. Oh, bless you, Hal Vickery, for the super chat. For that, thank you so much for doing that for us, and thank you, Lisa Mia Moore, as well. There you go. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Rip Cody T. Semi Beagle, who crossed the Rainbow Bridge Sunday. Oh, he'll always lie next to me as I listen to this show. Oh, kiddo. We have Chud's ashes right upstairs in our family room. And we see him every day, and now we're trying to keep Bucky from knocking them off the shelf as he tries to explore the entire house. And thank you, Lisa Mia Moore, as well. Hashtag outlive Trump. Hashtag no kings. Hashtag Hal Sparks 2028. Oh yeah, that's happening. Hashtag on your left. So I want people to contemplate that for just a moment. We have a space crew that is doing the first lap around the moon in 50 plus years, 60 years almost. It's 50 plus because it happened basically 3 months before I was born or so, around that era. So yeah, it's around our age. So that's happening right now. That's amazing. That's a beautiful thing for us, for humanity, for reality, for life on Earth, for the future of humanity, for science and discovery, and the arc of the growth of human spirit. And at the same time, that is being eaten alive by Donald Trump firing Pam Bondi over how poorly she hid the Epstein files. And, allegedly, because she was helping Eric Swalwell avoid prosecution over his alleged affair with a Chinese spy that he never had, in an attempt, by the way, for them to take Pam Bondi's firing is probably the single most weaponized firing we have seen so far. And we'll talk about that in the next segment because it's just so much to unpack.
Like we're putting this out there just because.
Well, they did it, so they're going to use
everything else.
Yeah, they're going to use every possible excuse for why he did it, except the real one, which is, of course, that she, crapped the bed trying to hide his comeuppance to the Epstein files and stop their release. That was her one job. You had one job, just the one.
One job.
Yeah, her job was to stop the Epstein files from coming out. A job, by the way, she has no power to fulfill, but that did not stop Trump from sort of blaming her for this or insisting that if he gets Todd Blanche in there, Todd Blanche has a dual role, of course, which is as his personal attorney previous and as his White House counsel and now as the AG. He has three directions with which to protect Donald Trump from him having to testify. Because he literally, Pam Bondi cannot come in and say, as the president's former personal lawyer, I can't speak to issues that would involve him right outside this issue. But Todd Blanche can. Todd Blanche can literally invoke attorney-client privilege. He can invoke attorney-client privilege in his capacity as Donald Trump's lawyer to not talk about his meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell. I want people to think about that for a minute. But they're not going to let a flim flam go to waste, I guess. So they're gonna pitch every angle other than the Epstein files as to why Donald Trump fired Pam Bondi, and we'll get to that in the next segment. But then the Kristi Noem's husband gets and pardon the pun, busted. He gets busted. Look out, see what I did there. Come on now. He gets busted and being into a fetish. And again, we're not, Johnny Million, we're not here to yuck anybody's yum.
Do not yuck a yum.
Yeah,
it's
I don't.
Hypocrisy.
That's exactly. That's right. Yeah, it's like when we deal with the fact that Lindsey Graham is more than likely gay and hiding it and is tortured by hiding it, and again, he's a grown person making his own decision. Yes, exactly. Whatever reason, and the same of J.D. Vance and his relationship with Peter Thiel and all those kind of things. When we speak of those things, it is not to shame people who actively, openly, and soulfully participate in same-sex relationships because that is their true being at all. It is to point out the hypocrisy and the self-immolation that is built into the structure of republicanism these days, especially MAGAtism, where bimbofication, which is what is the name of the fetish that Kristi Noem's husband was engaging in.
Weird. So weird.
It's weird that there's a thing like that, and it's weird that it's got a name. I think everything does. We live in a branding era, Johnny Million. Everything's got a hashtag.
Yeah.
Right? So in terms of his hashtag bimbofication, or hashtag himbofication, as I like to refer to it, and hey-do, and he apparently that caused a spike in, no surprise, a spike in searches for bimbofication this week on Google, right? That's not surprising because a lot of people had a WTF moment with that phrase, right? That you're like, am I hearing this right? What? Right? We had that kind of a moment. However, the biggest spike came up apparently on Pornhub.
Oh, no.
Which, oh yes, that apparently, and in those areas where they have surprising amounts of pornography use, but are against it, the kind of states where you have to use a VPN, like Utah and other places, where they can where they can tell. And by the way, Utah, can I tell you something? Come here, Utah. Before we go to break, let me explain something to you. when you're in a hotel, there's a and the blockbuster movie that costs $200 million to make is on there for, and you can rent it on your hotel system for $7.99.
Yeah.
And the movie that was shot with a camcorder that has a title that explains exactly what happens. That movie
Pretty much, yeah. Everything's
costs,
in the name.
costs $17.99. And it says on the thing, the title of the film the rental movie will not show up on your bill. When it says that, I got news for you. It doesn't have
That's
to.
a sign.
Yeah, they know. We all know. I know it. Your family knows it. Dogs know it. And the same thing is true with Utah and the servers that are just over the border. For some reason, people have a really weird thing that they think that, and this is my little tech tip before we go to break too. You know what? I'm going to save it for after the break. We got to go to break. We'll come back after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, now with 100% more Johnny Million. I'm going to give you a tech tip.
That's me.
And Johnny's going to explain, his experience with bimbofication after we come back.
Yes.
Hit the like, share the show. Oh, well, thank you. I don't hear Chicago.
To you is low.
It's not. It's okay. It seems okay to me.
Yeah.
Is everybody saying it? Is everybody
quiet in the
Okay.
chat.
Hold on. Let me try this. Oh. Speak for me.
Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
Okay. I brought it up on my end too.
What was that?
I brought it up on my end too.
Okay.
Mine seems very hot, so maybe that's it.
Your audio. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you sound. You're not usually like talking right into a microphone. I love it.
That's right. Yeah, this is much closer to my face in this setup. It's got more depth. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Mr. Magoo. You enjoy the show over Artemis and Carl and the ingenuity of man contrasts with your absolute frustration and loathing of the stupidity of Tucker and Dave made Thursday your best show ever for me. Yeah, I borderline snapped on Thursday's show or Wednesday. Yeah, Thursday's show after we were talking. Well, because we'll discuss that in the next thing. I'm up to here with these folks who are like the government when it's in Chicago, or you're muted coming our way. Chicago, I don't know if you can hear us, but you are muted going our direction from your browser. So I don't know how we come back. They might need to reload. I don't see anybody behind there. So I'm going to assume we're back. How about they turned off and back on. Okay, Chicago's going to drop out and drop back in. Thank you guys for the super chats. And I got to say, the little comment reaction things are just lovely up there. I wish I could find a way to show it on the screen. There's got to be a way. There must be a better way. Although they're showing up on YouTube and the like. By the way, YouTube folks, there's that little thing in your chat window that looks like a little heart. And if you tap on that, it'll open up a menu where you can give like 100, you agree with me, or a heart or something like that. Chicago's still muted coming our direction. I don't know why, but I see them, and that's the important thing. Okay, hold on. Let me do one thing. Let me see if I can fix this. Boink. Check 1, check 2, Chicago. I forced them.
You hear us?
Yes, we can now hear you. Excellent.
I don't know how that happened. It wasn't letting me change it. We're coming back in 15 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, it was it somehow you muted yourself in the browser on the other side, and I just basically hijacked you and turned it back off. I exercised.
Hal, here we go.
Yes, I exercised host privilege.
This is Tom Hartman, and you're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
Okay, so here's my Johnny Million. Here's my tip for all the folks who use a VPN out there. That's a virtual private network. That's the way you sort of bank shot your internet feed out of your house and back, with the encryption being done singularly there, so that if anybody looks at what you're doing on your own network, they won't see it, because they'll never be able to track down where it's going, and they would have to hijack someone else's server, and you can change that at any time. And they rotate them in these VPNs anyways, so it's hard, as a hacker, it would be your all day, every day. That a lot of people pick a server close by. They think that if you're in, if I'm in California, I should pick one in Nevada or, Oregon. Makes sense. Right. Or if you're in a big state, you pick one that's in a city nearby, like you're in LA, so there's one in San Jose, something like that, which, by the way, I would never choose any of the ones in Cupertino, even though it's Silicon Valley, but the traffic that goes through there naturally bogs that whole thing down. So if you're looking for any kind of an accidental throttle, that's where it'll happen. But it doesn't matter. It does not matter. If you're in California, pick one in Massachusetts. If you're in Rhode Island, pick one in Oregon. It doesn't work like, it's not a proximity fight. Just so you know. Once it's out, the sort of digital gate, all bets are off. And the only time you run into trouble is where that server has a problem. Well, the folks in Utah and places like that, red states that want to pretend they don't have an appetite for shenanigans, tend to just get stuff right over the border, and it's very telling. It's a dead giveaway. So just take that's a little tip from your Uncle Hal. And Johnny Million just turned off his camera just being naughty.
No, I'll be back.
I don't believe you.
I'm working on stuff.
I don't think that's true. Okay, you're working behind the scenes. I'm going to just put myself on screen for the time being. Hi, everybody. Hi, chat room. Or actually, I can put the chat up. I think the chat will actually work in this one. Yeah, there it is. So when Johnny pops back in, I'm sure he'll let me know when he's back live again. It's it's up to you, buddy. I'm all about being everybody. I'm all about it being everybody else's problem, technologically speaking, except mine today, considering I'm using a new setup in the studio. So,
I'm going to reconnect. I'll be right back.
Okay, sounds like a plan. So while Johnny's away, I'm going to start talking about a topic he doesn't know much about, and therefore it'll be more difficult for him when he comes back in to rejoin the conversation. I'm, of course, kidding. Now, this has been a very awkward week for maggots in general. There is a brutal response. There he is. There's Johnny Million. Let's see. I guess I have to pop him back in here. There he is. Hiya.
I'm frozen again. This is why I changed. Oh my god.
It might be your the setting on your camera. Are you bouncing through a Utah server again? I told you I was trying to give you just a wee bit of just some help in that area if I could. Johnny Million. Okay, cool. I think. Let's see.
I'm back.
Yay, look, that worked. Okay, cool. And I didn't have to throw a switch or anything. So one of the, this has been a very awkward week. Imagine being Joe Rogan. Imagine being Joe Rogan and having to explain how not only are we going back to the moon and going around it and coming back, and that there will be, the world is witnessing it.
He's got a lot of explaining to do.
Yeah, he's got I really do think he should do a live stream with Eddie Bravo where they both talk about how they think it's all AI. I think that should be the rule. I gotta say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because first of all,
that's
it
the
ain't.
only avenue they have left.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I got very excited about
shrinking.
I know I'm trying to even this out. I got very excited about the launch this week. I had Carl Alessi on the show talking about this. It was terrific. And I think the comparison that a lot of us make in these circumstances is like, is there a reason we can't do this stuff all the time? Is there a reason this can't be like what we, focus on as humans? You know what I mean? Do we have to have this war? And there's been not only this week do we have the bimbofication story, which is insane and should be eating the Department of Homeland Security's husband has probably one of the few final, besides the biggie, the few final sex fetishes that could lead someone to be blackmailed. Think about it. Like even in maggot world, like between Milo Yiannopoulos becoming ex-gay and the Presley or whatever his name is, the long straight haired guy who's gay, who was like won Ohio for Trump or something like that. That ship has sailed. Most young people don't care, and so even maggots and TPUSA and their trad wife push are still over it. They're not really going to push hard for this. That's why they're leaning so hard into the transgender issue, is literally because they have no leverage with gay and lesbian anymore. That really is it. Like it doesn't do it. So then
but if you switch teams, so help me.
Yeah, and if you're, I guess in the case of Trump's buddies and possibly himself, according to even more details coming out about Katie Johnson's 4 interviews with the FBI about her sexual assault at the hands of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, and even more as more details come out about that affirm that she's telling the truth because her details work out. You understand why the FBI interviewed her 4 times, why that matters, right? So. There, besides that, and the worst of the worst, which I would argue an adult assaulting a child, really the only ones that MAGA has to worry about are the ones that are kind of feminine and embarrassing. I got to be honest, like that they are so anti-woman that I think I believe personally, like MAGA anti-gay sentiment is more born out of the belief that a man who would subjugate himself to another man as if he was a woman is therefore weak because women are weak. Like that's the math.
Yeah. I
don't think it's because, I'm sure there's an ick factor. Conservatives famously have a much bigger ick factor than liberals do. They don't handle messes. That's why the men don't want to raise children, because changing poopy diapers apparently is so grotesque to them and they can't get over it. They tend to outsource all their, intimate moments because of that. So, this is one of those things where like awkward, and yet, and then, of course, you've got Joe Rogan and his difficulty explaining to his viewers his BS about how he thinks we faked the moon landing, which, by the way, I would say for the record, and we got to take another break. The whole we faked the moon landing story is a Russian misinformation campaign to make up for the fact that we won the space race. For real.
Yeah, right.
I'm not, this is not being me defensive about the United States. This is not jingoistic or patriotic fervor. This is an actual thing. In the same way that they put stories in Indian newspapers about how the CIA created AIDS to keep people in Africa from getting treatment for HIV so that more of them would die, so the Wagner Group would have an easier time sneaking the gold out of Africa. That's real. And so is the fact that the moon landing and even the rise of flat earthers has been pushed by and large by the Russians in an attempt to, it's low res society discombobulation languaging. It's their discombobulator. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Mega Worldwide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There we go. This little guy. Hold on one second. I got to solve. I don't have any titles on this one, so nobody knows who we are. Just stumbling across the show.
Who are these?
Who are these clowns? I'll work on that as we're going along because I can walk and dribble bubble gum at the same time.
I can
60
dribble.
seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dove.
You're welcome, guys.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Add here. There you go. There's Johnny Million.
Look at that.
Look at that. That's nice. And then I'll, there's a cool thing, duplicate to the vertical canvas. So now that's over there as well. And then what was my name again?
Clown.
You're doing some kind of intellectual thing. Intellectual? You think this is intellectual because you were educated with a banana and an inner tube. This is an intellectual free zone. Mm-hmm. There we go. There you go. And then we'll be back in just a... Excellent. Okay. Cool. My hair is very poofy.
Now, back to Hal Sparks on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
Welcome back. Swissman Jap in our chat room says, I live in Utah. They want people to upload their ID to go to those websites. Do they not know what a VPN is, Hal? Yeah. That's, by the way, I'm convinced that Utah has a side hustle as a VPN state, effectively a VPN hub, you know, because if you could guarantee yourself an income if you just move to a state like Utah, incorporate, start a business where you could hand out cards directly to people instead of just them finding you on the internet like the larger VPN companies. And then, you could, hey, man, if you ever need a VPN, this is my service. I do it locally through the state, but we go out through blah, blah, blah. And, that's, if you know how they work, it'll explain it. Here's a QR code, knock yourself out. You could see some sort of backdoor, no pun intended, business going on between the Utah government and those kinds of businesses to keep them, because if people can just go to the sites they want to in states like that, they don't need a VPN. By and large, people don't use them, unless they have to. I used one when I was in China, for example. I think some use it for business just because they're doing business from home and they don't want their home address and their, they don't want disgruntled customers finding their house, right? Maybe that is a reason. But it doesn't surprise me at all. So a couple of things. We were, I was looking at this earlier today, and we are witnessing the great MAGA unraveling. I keep going back to this.
I fear the vacuum a little bit. I fear the vacuum.
I got to tell you, I don't. You know why? Because there was a vacuum for decades. A few of them kind of monkey branched onto Reagan. They took a huge break through Bush 1, beginning of Bush 2, especially around the war. They jumped on board in the midterms with him as being like, America's going to show these, pejorative for Arabs who's boss, right? And so and post 9/11, like 9/11 gave them a reason to get back on board with Republicans. Like the fear thermometer just burst. And so they leapt in and then they were part of the coalition that kept Bush in, which is the whole, you don't change a horse midstream. We're in dangerous times. You got to trust the president. You got, the Britney spearing of our political conversation around that stuff. Remember her saying that? Bless her heart.
Oh, yeah.
So there have been these bits and pieces of these groups, but I got to tell you, they were scattered for the longest time and did not have an emulsifier. You always add egg to a recipe, and that's what keeps the ingredients together. Trump has been, for them more than anything, the great emulsifier for the scattered maggot adjacent crowds.
You know what? I hate things I don't understand either.
That's right. He talks just like me, ignorant about everything.
And if he doesn't get it, he makes it up.
That's right. Which is, I mean, what's not to love? So, yeah. So you have a situation where people like this for a very long time existed, but they existed in the periphery. You know, they existed in the sort of, I don't know, the everything from Waco to like Michigan militia groups to the, you know, everybody who's read the Protocols of the Order, the Elders of Zion and the Turner Diaries, you know, the racist groups that pivot around these, like all these different, you know, like what became the Tea Partiers a little bit, which, you know, brought in that.
If some of it was Tea Party.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Embarrassed by their Bush votes, you know, they retreated into we're independents, leaning into libertarianism, giving rise to this faux libertarian nonsense that, you know, passes for political discourse. The Dave Smiths of the world who, you know, for all of his talk about libertarianism, looked at the last Trump presidency where he created, you know, the most, I would say the most sound pillars of corporate welfare this country has ever seen, and unapologetically so. And then as soon as he gets in, he starts buying up, you know, an interest in Intel on behalf of the government, like the government buying into these corporations. And this is, I guess, this is what drives me. One of the many things that drives me nuts about this is that there's this idea that Democrats are communists and are socialists. And what ultimately is that? That is central government that controls all the companies, that anything that is made, the labor therein is agreed to by everybody, and only stuff that is agreed to by everybody can be made. And so in that whole thing about Obama picking winners and losers, that was a code to what would eventually become maggots and Tea Partiers, and that, you know, former Tea Partiers and would become maggots. That was code to them that this is communism. Picking winners and losers is what the Soviets did. Okay, this is all part of that. You know, the dog whistle versions of the fear of communism and socialism. Okay. And by the way, I know I don't have to say this to our regular listeners, but I want to reiterate this. None of the programs we have in the United States, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, any of these things, even the VA, are socialism or communism. They aren't. They are the result of democratic taxation. Every king, potentate, dictator that has ever existed has had systems to build roads, has had fire departments or fire brigades, has had police officers, has had hospitals, has had
society.
It's society builds these things. The only difference was that when kings do it, we don't have a say in the American system, and where we have representation through taxation. We make the choice to build the things that we think are important. It's not communism. It's not socialism. All three of the words that we're currently using, capitalism, socialism, and communism, have no bearing on the modern economic world, have no bearing on the future economic world. They are, they're poetic turns of phrase from a much more corrupt age. And proof positive being that, of course, so the term capitalism is an exonym made up by socialists as a way of denigrating markets and trying to eliminate private property and private enterprise entirely, largely through groups in South America who were creating these words. And it was whatever. The point being, if you need a treatise on this, go to my Substack, the Hal Sparks Substack, Megaworldwide. I outline Sparksism, which is my economic belief system, which I think is more a discovery than an invention, and points to the fact that a mixed economy is how everything works. It always has, it always will, and if you try to ping pong it one direction or the other, your society will collapse. If you try to go 100%, state driven, it will collapse because no one will have an impetus to be creative or invent a new solution because they'll be too afraid to reach out. That's right. And if you go if you go total market Wild West, it will eat itself and we'll be in a world of Enrons and Maddows, Bernie. Sorry, Maddows. Listen to me. I wish Bernie Madoff and
I knew
wouldn't that
it.
be lovely? Yeah, right. Bernie Madoff and and the Kushners, right? So, and crypto, right? That's those are the extremes. Neither of them work, and both of them ultimately either need a bailout from the other, or have to have a secret version of either done underneath. The Republicans have to pretend that they don't need things like, that are chosen by the populace, like SNAP and Medicare and Medicaid. They have to pretend they don't. They act like bootstrappers who get along on their own. But the minute it's removed, you see people like Josh Hawley and that crowd like screaming in the Senate about how dare you take this away. People are really going to be hurt, because that's when they have to admit that their state relies on it to even stay afloat, more than even the alleged blue commie states that they talk about. On the other end, the idea that you'll ever get to a point where there's a state hospital and a state factory that makes the state-approved cell phone is patently absurd, and everybody kind of recognizes that right out of the gate. So what we need is proper democratic taxation. We need recognition that you need smart, ethical, and caring human beings who are in charge of
both sides. Yeah. Everybody's corrupt. Both sides.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the fall. That's the fallback if you voted for Donald Trump and now you're caught defending Jeffrey Epstein's wingman. That's everywhere right now. Look at Dave Smith. Look at Tucker Carlson. All those folks are like, the government does every time we turn around. Like, no, the only time you pay attention is when you want to vote, when social issues like that are driven by your own, anti-gay or anti-woman attitudes, because you think women or gays are getting too far ahead or minorities are getting a chance, that's what brings you out of the woodwork and turns you around to face the political landscape temporarily. And then if you elect a Bush or or a Cheney with a Rumsfeld in there or whatever your issue is, and then you go right back to sleep. And the only time the only way you wake up to the political realm is if the Republicans lie to you and tell you some story about how they're going to let immigrants get away with everything and women are getting jobs they don't deserve. And that wakes you up again. So every time you turn around, which is that phrase they always use, you don't recognize that what's turning you around. What is it that makes you turn around from whatever you're doing and face the political landscape and decide to become involved? It's when they trigger your bigotry, when they trigger your baseline fear, and then you think that's how the government works. You ignore all the other parts in this, and I'm speaking to the Dave Smiths of the world. You ignore the regular order of the government in the same way that you ignore the system that makes traffic lights work, or the fact that your fellow citizens, almost never, even with the car accidents we have in this country, people almost never drive across the yellow line in the middle of the street. That is amazing. Yeah. And if you spend your time
agreement we all have,
it's really impressive, and I'll never stop being impressed by it. And these guys will, but if you listen to them talk, they will always say like, people are stupid and I don't trust anybody and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, how do you drive then? I don't know how you get out on the street. If you don't trust anybody, you're in the most trusting situation you can possibly be in. Even with airbags, you're traveling at 35 miles an hour and someone else is traveling at 35 miles an hour. They're going the opposite way you are, and you're trusting them to stay on their side of their line, and they're trusting you. Of course you do. But the only time you pay attention is when there's a wreck. And then you go, people are stupid and people can't drive. Or somebody cuts you off and people are stupid and people can't drive. Thousands of other cars on the road with you that didn't cut you off, right? This is, and it's part of our problem-seeking mentality that we have as human beings. That's how we solve things. We have to solve them that way because, I don't need to look out for things when they're going well. I need to look out for, the saber-tooth cat that's that the grass is normal, rocks are normal, birds are normal. Right. That's not normal, right? Okay, so that's but we can choose to recognize when we are doing that. And most people, especially on the right, don't or feel offended that you should expect it from them. I think that's a big part of it as well. They're offended by the idea that they should be conscious of when they're being led around by the nose, because that's something that, Johnny, that happens to you and I. We apparently think, Barack Obama is a magical black person, as I think Rush Limbaugh called him. I thought he was a good man who did his best and was very qualified to be president and made the best leap forward in, again, democratically elected representatives creating a system to make up for discrepancies in our health program.
Be a person.
Yeah.
It's maddening.
You'll torture yourself with that. You will torture yourself with that.
I can't watch him console a baby. I can't watch him help somebody who passed out at a speech.
Right. Yeah. Well,
breaks my heart.
Yeah. And by the way, we'll get there again. I got to tell you, like I keep trying to remind people, you don't get to skip history. You do not. You know, every country in Europe who's wagging their finger at us right now had a period either in recent history or a couple hundred years ago where they actively tried to destroy the world or actively did. Do you know how many people think that Spanish is the indigenous language of South America or that Portuguese is, without recognizing that Spain is a European country that conquered more territory than the English did by far. The French still have a big chunk of Canada. So it's bizarre to me that people don't recognize again that people are people, and why should it be? We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program. I will get off on this tear for a long time. You know it. So hit the like, share the show. It's Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Excellent.
Time for me to piddle. I know you've been waiting for that.
I have, actually, so that I can do some other setup work. I'm going to bring the chat in real quick. Hal never sings the Depeche Mode. People are people, so why should it be? I used to call them Depress Mode in high school. That's true. Because everybody I knew who listened to them was fucking miserable. Daughter's the same, but emotions are difficult for her. She's autistic. She didn't even cry when my mom died. It was odd. That's a different thing entirely. These people have a pathological aversion. How much time did you say? Sorry.
As of right now, you guys are looking at 44 seconds.
Excellent. Thanks, Robert. I'm glad you, Seth. Glad you like the Promised Land reference. Is the FCC going to ban routers? No. Never. Oh, Berkeley, thank you so much. Thanks, Berkeley. Don't forget to touch grass and take a break with chaos and maintain your sanity. We all need to pace ourselves. Completely agree, my friend. There is, and we'll get there. We'll get there.
Why does touch grass always sound dirty? Like, I know it means just like resetting yourself.
Does it though?
Touch grass. Ew.
10 seconds.
I really think it's, it's
I think it Purdue of Think Theory Radio, Saturdays at 6 p.m. You're listening to Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
We were just during the break. We were discussing Johnny Million's shame over his touch grass fetish. I'm so ashamed that somehow the phrase "touch grass" sounds dirty to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I get you. I understand it. Yeah.
If I elaborate, we're kicked off the air.
Well, or we're dumped for 7 seconds. Probably depends. Just strategically,
right, okay. Or that.
We just don't want to make Devin have to do too much work. He's already had a too big a morning, anyways. There is. I have a theory why touch grass has that phrase became the hashtag, is because there's a big part of the hippie movement, which was like walk barefoot, that was born out of the 60s and the naturalist movements and those kind of things. And that,
or it's kind of like that thing in Die Hard, you make little fists with your toes.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at that, Argyle. Yeah. Glass. So sorry, I almost said the one line I can say is Bruce Willis, and it has a swear word in it. glass. Who gives about glass, right? So and the other reason is because with Republicans or the MAGA side of things, you can picture touching it with your hand, so it has a more active thing. You're not some hippie walking around outside with no shoes on. You just go out and put your hand on it, right? You go and and you can't say touch trees, which is a big part of the hiking thing. Is like hug. You become a tree hugger. God forbid. Which tree hugger. That's the name of my my indie rock band. All of our concerts are done from one of those little planks they put up in the tree to like stop them from being cut down.
Oh yeah.
Each band member has to stand in one of those. Yeah.
And we chain ourselves to the bulldozers.
That's right. Like Arthur Dent in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I liked his chances.
I did. So let's recap in the bottom part of the hour before our dear friend Philip Ittner joins us from Kyiv, and we discuss next hour more war than we would rather like. So Kristi Noem's husband, she loses her job. Then her husband is discovered, is outed by an undocumented immigrant who makes money on a fetish site about bimbofication that has interacted with him personally on a video call and via email. And because he's married to Kristi Noem, this woman that he is engaged with decides to out him and releases pictures and correspondence, hundreds of messages back and forth, including ones that are derogatory towards Kristi Noem's appearance, her physique, and her sexual inadequacies, I suppose. Yeah. That turns out was one of the minor stories. Then we got Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi, who was, there were rumors for a little while. And again, this is Trump's fourth swing and a miss at AG, considering I include Matt Gaetz in this, fired before he even got the job.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And I'm by the way, I'm convinced that Trump never intended to give Matt Gaetz the job and knew there was no way he would, with an ethics report hanging in the wings in the House, there was no way he was going to pass the Senate as AG. It just wasn't going to happen. Right. But it gave him a way out. But it also made the next person that he wants to put in, no matter how much of a sycophant they were, look really great. Like the only way you could make Pam Bondi, the former AG of Florida, look good is put somebody like Matt Gaetz in first and go, well, I mean, by comparison. And the same thing is true.
I bet her Venmo record is clean.
I don't. Anyways, then he's got Todd Blanche in as the acting AG, which again would be functional as a pressure campaign to get them to accept Lee Zeldin as fast as possible, or whoever he puts up. It looks like he's putting Lee Zeldin up, but this, if you even the idea is, how do you get Democrats on board to confirm this person? Well, the only alternative is leaving Todd Blanche in the spot, and that's the worst. So this is clearly better. Right? He could make orders while he's AG that we'll have to take all the way to the Supreme Court to get undone if he's doing it as an acting one. Now, the fact that he's doing it as an acting thing, if he decided to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell and release her and not go on further charges for her, or give her some sort of a non-prosecution agreement after he kicks her to the curb. Wow, that's a long drink. Okay, that was a long drink of coffee. Your cup was stuck. It was hilarious. So I do think because he would be the acting AG and had not been cleared by the Senate, there would be blocks against him doing something as egregious as that. But again, I've said this many times, especially in dealing with talking about Iran. Just because it's stupid doesn't mean it's not the plan. This is we got to be really clear about this. I don't get where people think they're like, well, that's just ridiculous. Yeah, I know it's ridiculous. That doesn't mean they're not going to do it. This is
everything you just said was ridiculous.
Exactly. The fact that Pam Bondi had the job in the first place, the fact that Alex Acosta got a job as labor secretary after being the guy who gave Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators a sweetheart deal. Let me say something about Alex Acosta and his Trump giving him a job as labor secretary, a job he was not qualified to have in the first place, which is like basically giving him a no-show government paycheck in a job, by the way, that not only does Trump not want him to do, he wants him to undo, because you find me a labor-friendly Republican presidency or administration. Knock yourself out. It certainly isn't this one, and it damn sure wasn't the last Trump version, and it certainly wasn't Bush or Reagan or Bush one, or it's ridiculous, right? So they want labor to fail. So if the guy just gets a paycheck and doesn't show up and doesn't help at all and just undermines everything, that's a feature, not a bug. But giving it to Alex Acosta, the guy who gave we talk often about how he gave Epstein a sweetheart deal.
Oh, yeah.
You know who he really gave a sweetheart deal to? All of Epstein's co-conspirators. Because the one person in this case that actually saw jail time, light as it was, who was allowed to let himself out of jail, had a key to the place, and could be on work release, only had to spend weekends there, was able to plead down, actually did time and actually got a record. One of the reasons we talk about, pre and post conviction Jeffrey Epstein is because everybody should have known that he had been convicted at that point of solicitation of sex with a minor. And instead of the 1,000 victims that we know exist. But let's be real clear. Alex Acosta, and I don't know that anybody else has said this, so I really want to hammer this. Alex Acosta did not give a sweetheart deal to Jeffrey Epstein. He gave a sweetheart deal to all of his buddies and his fellow travelers and his house guests who participated in this awful, because they got off not only scot-free without ever seeing the inside of a jail or paying a fine or being recognized, they never got their name in the press. They never got to be known as the way Jeffrey Epstein was, as a pedophilic pariah. A registered sex offender. All of his co-conspirators, those are the ones that Acosta gave a sweetheart deal to. Heller and Leslie Groff, the women who helped him. Ghislaine Maxwell, technically, that's what she used as her defense initially, was that non-prosecution agreement that they had in Florida was supposed to protect her on a federal level from charges in New York. That she was going to use that as her get out of jail free card. That was her primary defense. And that includes, by the way, Donald John Trump. Donald Trump got a sweetheart deal in the Epstein case from the guy he eventually would give a job as labor secretary. We're at the end of the hour, but I don't know that anybody brings it up. And it's one of those things that grinds around in my head, and I just should have brought it up sooner. But I always expect that somebody in the news will make that connection, and nope. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. We're on every Saturday on YouTube and Facebook, and we're streaming live vertically and horizontally. And there comes our buddy Phil, who will be joining us. It's crazy. They don't know what to do. All right, we'll be back right after this.
All right, I'm going to reconnect again and try to get my camera hub working.
Okay. You do you, boo.
I might come back as a still life again. We'll see what happens.
Phil there. Excellent. And hey, Phil, I'll be able to hear you in just a second. Now you're in the, I see that you're talking, but you're muted in this one scene real quick, and I'll work that out. And then I'll put this in here, and then I'll be able to bump them together. I have to wait till Johnny comes back in. I hope he's not doing a full restart. It shouldn't quite matter. Here, I'll bring you in. I'll pop him in general. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you if you can hear me.
Yep. Little muted, but okay.
Try this.
Yeah, it's a little foamy. It's a little muted. I'm not quite sure why. It's like
better. Is that any better?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it sounded. It had the sound of like wearing a lavalier under a garment for a moment. You know that.
Yeah.
That thing. Okay, hold on. I've got to center myself. There we go.
Hold this.
Yeah.
Stop flickering.
Okay. Oh, I've got to add you to this, guys. Beg your pardon. So, dump. There we go. And then Johnny will be back with us in just a moment, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to go back to live mode. And I'm just going to throw on our titles. There you go. Like, beg your pardon. There you go. And then duplicate. There you go. There you go. How are you doing, by the way?
Yeah, all right. Lots of headaches with the studio because the electrical system is so fried because of what happened over the winter. So
right,
and Trump is destroying my portfolio. So
yeah, right.
Start
oh yeah,
tightening my belt.
Yeah, that I really do think the Lutniks of the world are planning a big old buy the dip. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think
it's total market. Thank you.
I think they're going to short it as much as they can, and then they'll.
That's right.
And then they'll, reap the benefits. But in the meantime, those of us, who kind of dip into our stock portfolio because we need to on occasion because things get expensive or finance and kind of adjust myself. So.
You're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video streaming at halsparks.com.
I don't care for you if the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Damn puss-faced little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Welcome back to the show. Joining us right now is our dear friend Philip Ittner from Kyiv in Ukraine. And, we're in a kind of things are tough all over situation. And it's almost as if it was sort of manufactured to be this way. I have, Trump has obviously been anti-NATO for a long time. And this, I think, has more to do with his grudge with he feels out of place and ignorant around Europeans because he can't look down on them. He is of a German and Scottish stock, can't speak German, can't speak Gaelic. His English isn't that great. So there's Johnny Million. We'll pop him back in here to join us. And so he's got this chip on his shoulder, as it seems, and about them that has a little to do, I think, with and I'll fix you there, Johnny. We'll get you hopefully framed up and the like. That he's basically looks at Europe like he was rejected by a hot woman. He spoke of in the Access Hollywood tapes. Yeah. And so it has more to do with that than it has to do with, his military goals or his belief system about the, I don't know. It's just, there's an absurdity to it that it reeks of like kind of a desperate want for attention than some sort of strategic issue.
And a sense of rejection. Yeah. But he also comes from, and he enables people like Hegseth and other people who are kind of
the same
along
way.
the side. Well, but there's this additional thing in that they think that because we're the big dog in the organization, that we have the largest military, et cetera, et cetera. That means that we get to dictate to the other sovereign nations within the alliance and treat them as if, well, we're the big club. We're we're the one with 11 nuclear carrier groups, and we're the ones that can mobilize around the world at the drop of a hat and all the rest of it. That means you need to do what we say. And it is an alliance. It is not, you're not subjugated to DC, So and this is a weapon. This is a tool that Moscow uses an awful lot towards Europeans to divide and conquer by saying you are the lapdog of the United States and you do. Look, I have been in NATO negotiations. I've been to NATO summits. I've been in the field with NATO troops, working side by side with American troops. That's not how it works. There are those people who have that mentality, but when they run up against, you go to a Norwegian military base and want to get a Whopper at a BK, because they put BKs on U.S. Bases. These are sovereign individual nations with their own interests, their own procedures and rules and regulations and standard operating procedures and all the rest of it. But, just because we are allies does not mean that we have to basically, that we Norwegians, we Spanish, or whatever, have to kind of play by America's rules. I mean, I remember being on a joint base with the U.S. and the UK, and one of the things about the British military is that you are given 2 cans of lager a week. You get 2 beers a week. And
Hegseth would never go for that.
But we had General Order Number 1 because we were in a Muslim nation. We were dry. You couldn't get any booze.
Right.
So these British soldiers were getting 2 cans of beer a week, and it drove the American soldiers just bonkers. They were going out of their way to try and haggle for stuff, and the Brits just were like, this is how we roll. It's the rum ration from back in Napoleonic days and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And all of this is just to say that Trump thinks, and guys like Hegseth think, and he's not alone. There's a large contingency within the American military, within the American defense and intelligence community, that these other sovereign nations are subordinate to us.
Right.
But if you spend enough time in those sovereign nations, they don't see it the same way. And so now Trump's actions are enacting more division between this alliance of friendly nations.
I know that.
I don't think it's a mistake. I don't think it's a mistake. I think it's on purpose.
I think you're completely right, and I think it looks more and more like marching orders every day. Let's be honest. We've always said that I haven't seen more defense in his behalf from Bigotry in trying to get out of the mess that they find themselves in bringing up Russia again. Right, this constant refrain about they went after him, the deep state just tried to destroy him, in another attempt to sort of excuse his behavior around Iran, that this must be something that the deep state forced him to do. Well, A, they can't. And if the other option that they bring up sometimes is that he is being blackmailed either by the Russia folks, which again brings to the light of the idea that he didn't do anything wrong, because what are you being blackmailed with? What do the deep state have against you if you weren't Jeffrey Epstein's, more than Jeffrey Epstein's wingman, his enabler and his participant, and that you did engage in subterfuge on behalf of Vladimir Putin because you wanted to, because he backed your loans for 2 decades plus. So I don't know why they think this is a defense to bring this back up, but they do. And when they do this, it also is a big reminder. Like, why is he jumping on NATO about this? Why is it NATO's responsibility? I mean, I can understand where you would complain about our allies in Europe, but NATO is a treaty organization about Russia, and specifically the only time their dealings in the Middle East is only when they came to our defense in Afghanistan and Iraq, and that was a choice, and not all of them did. It wasn't actually NATO that came to our rescue after 9/11. It was NATO countries that are our allies, mainly France and Europe and Germany, more France and the UK. So
I remember being in Afghanistan when I don't know if you guys remember this, but like a week after 9/11, a German vessel asked to approach an American vessel and was given permission. And as the German vessel crossed the stern, whatever, starboard or port side of the American vessel, they had put a banner that said, "We are with you." Which days after 9/11 was incredible.
Whoops, I lost audio from Phil for a second. Phil, we lost your audio for a second.
Yeah.
There you go. Sorry. So days after 9/11, it was an incredible thing.
The only time Article 5 has ever been implemented is after 9/11. So, I don't think this is. I'm going to change my settings, my audio settings here, because the thing is messing with me here. So hold on.
No problem. We can take a bit of an early break if we want, and we'll come back because I went straight through the last one. So let's take an early break if we could, and we'll come back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Nice.
Okay, we'll see if we can solve this from here.
Not the best headphones.
Right. There it is. Okay. Cool. And then
that should be much better.
Right.
How does it sound?
There. It's a little muffled.
A little muffly.
But still, volume's okay.
Is it better? I don't know if the.
Which mic are you using?
Nope, still bad. Well, it's probably. Oh no! Hold on.
It's one of those moments.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hey,
that'll do it. That'll do it.
Indeed, that's much better. Yep.
Okay, great.
Way better.
Yeah, and these are more reliable. They don't. These ones kind of lose their signal, their Bluetooth signal.
Right.
Regularly.
We're back in 20.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thank you. There we go. And this guy should be. There we go. Okay. Bring this up so we can.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Welcome back to the show. So we solved that little bit of an audio issue. It should be a lot better for Phil. So you're saying like effectively how this is a this is to be, I guess we all expect this right now, but it's odd that in the middle of this kind of Iran conflict, again, Iran being, if Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis are all proxies of Iran, Iran is like a fellow traveler proxy of Russia's. There's been, it's only because of the Ukraine war that Russia has been on the receiving end of aid and support from the Iranians, but by and large, it's been the other way around for quite some time, and they've done it largely as a waypoint for the Wagner Group going into Africa for its control over Shia-related militias in Africa for the control of resources there and to help them cover when they kill a bunch of people, and then you have them anytime they want us to be distracted in the Middle East, they can basically tell the Iranians like, hey, let these folks off the leash for a little while, tell them to cause some trouble that will draw America's attention to the Middle East again on a regular term. But part of the reason we have these sort of forever wars around Israel and the Middle East is because that's been one of the obvious distraction points the Russians can put in place for us, and they can trigger it whenever they want because of their financial relationship with Iran.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the reason why Russia got involved in Syria was due in no small part to the fact that they had this relationship with Tehran, and Syria was the thoroughfare from Tehran to get weaponry to Hezbollah in Lebanon, and there was this kind of this link up between Iran, Syria, and Lebanon, and so of course that's why the Russians kind of supported. One of the main reasons why they supported Assad. There's connections with their nuclear energy sector, which is why they were so deeply involved in the negotiations for the Iran nuclear deal that the Obama administration hashed out. I mean, that's why Lavrov was there. I mean, that Lavrov was involved in those rounds of talks with Kerry. Because they make a lot of money, the Russians do, in building other people's nuclear power plants. They also they own the fuel, they own the rods that they put into, and they're all done in Russian design. So you need Russian technicians. They make a lot of money doing that, and they oftentimes actually use it as a form of blackmail. I did an interview with a guy who was an expert on Russian nuclear kind of power politics, geopolitics, and they would love to be able to get back into the Iranian market because that puts Tehran a bit on their tether because they basically control the fuel, and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So, Tehran and Moscow have a very odd relationship. You're right, but at the end of the day, they are more interested in being an irritant to the United States than they are about any beef that they might have between Iran and Russia. So, this works perfectly into their hands. All of this works perfectly into Moscow's hands in a lot of ways. And what I also find interesting though is that we are suddenly now also seeing a lot of America's traditional allies in the region turning to Ukraine because of the Ukrainian expertise with drone and drone warfare. And if the Iranians are chucking shaheeds at them, who knows better than the Ukrainians how to defend against Iranian-style shaheeds? So, it's been interesting to say. I mean, there are apparently, reportedly, at least 200 Ukrainian drone trainers and drone operators in Qatar right now with a whole bunch of Ukrainian drones, so what kind of relationship is that now going to be building with other Gulf states who are going to have to defend themselves against Iran because of America's, putting lighter fuel all around the Middle East and all around the
Right.
Gulf. So a lot of this is very, very fluid, and a lot of it we'll have to see. Does who comes out the more with the greater advantage, Russia or Ukraine? Because now Ukraine is indeed taking a lead in being the arsenal against autocracy, which is a role we normally do, but seem to have abandoned.
Well, I honestly don't think we've abandoned it. I think we've been seized by it. And I think the Trump era will be seen as an active measure by, in the last gasp of full-throated authoritarianism on the planet for a good while. Because one of the things that is laid out before us in terms of the democratization of the world is sort of AI and robotics. It tends to drive in that direction. It's one of the reasons why in the race between the United States is not with China on AI at all. It will by and large be with the Europeans, because it will be about accelerating the best version of it and quality. And China always has a glass ceiling on top of it. It's the same reason Russia can't do it. Like, they can only do so much, because if they gave it out to their scientists, to their people, and there's too much freedom involved in it. More than they're willing to give, even, beyond, I think, our gooey layer, of regulation that's inadequate currently. Theirs is a hard stop, and you can't build, an advanced, technology like this with a hard stop on it. It doesn't work that way. And so they're automatically hamstringing themselves. And so their last chance is to sort of almost pull a North Korea, just batten down the hatches, grab as much land and resources as you can, and then, hopefully the West destroys itself or something else happens, or you can contribute to that. That said, one of the big stories this week that went by under the radar was that Rubio arranged for a bunch of Russians from the Duma to come over and tour the House and the Senate. Just walk around chucking air tags in people's purses and slapping mics on the underside of desks. I would say to any of our members of Congress, have your not only should you have your office swept for bugs, you should also have it swept for anything that can be resonant, that can be used as a bug. Because that's the other thing. They can go in and go, we can aim basically a radio frequencies, bounce it off this lamp, and it's the kind of brass that we can listen through. And we now know they have that on their desk. Get a security professional to come in and sweep your office and go, yeah, if they wanted to do that. Famously, they gave that big wooden sculpture to, I believe it was our CIA director. He put it behind his desk, and they could literally fire a radio waves at it, and it would vibrate based on sound. That would fluctuate the radio waves that were hitting it, and it didn't have to have an active microphone in it. It was that easy, and it was right behind his desk. They heard everything, and I think it was actually an embassy desk. But the point being is that all of our senators and House members need to do that right now if they don't want to be next on the Donald Trump compromat list.
Yeah, and the fact that they took some of the shadow fleet vessels off the sanctions list, so that they can now start to move fossil fuels around and skirt sanctions. All of this is it's another example of the fact that we don't recognize the threat from Moscow. We still think that we can push a reset button, or that we can find some sort of common ground, or that we can find a relationship with the Russians that is going to be some sort of pally chummy, all that Cold War stuff. Oh, that's all in the past. Don't worry about it. That's not how the Russians look at it.
That's not what they see.
No, they think that we the Anglo-American alliance is actually what they're fixated on, the Anglo-American alliance. There is a very large contingent of Russians, and some of them in power, or dictating power, very vocal voices, who are convinced that the square mile, that the House of Windsor still controls the United States. That that the United States is a subject of the monarchy. That the Brits are actually the ones calling all the shots. So I mean, look, they have a real issue with the Brits. They see us as an extension of the Brits, and so this relationship, this transatlantic relationship, this Anglo-American relationship, is something they're always trying to disrupt, and they always are going to see them as the enemy. I mean, that's not going to change. And so every interaction that any member of the Senate or of any State Department, law enforcement, intelligence, defense, even private businesses that have strategic ties to the United States. You lie down with dogs, you wake up with fleas. Every interaction you have with a Russian official or even a Russian oligarch, because there is no difference between the oligarchy and the Kremlin, should always be seen through the prism of they do not want anything good for us. They may make a negotiation. They may kind of somebody is always going to come out on top and on, because that's how they see negotiations. There's always a winner and a loser. Everything is binary.
There's no such thing as win-win, right?
There's no such thing as win-win, and so they are always looking to get one over on you as the enemy, the American. And everybody who interacts with Russians should have that understanding. And people are going to say, Phil, you're painting with a far too broad of a brush. Well, it's because it is deeply, deeply ingrained.
It's ubiquitous. And we don't live. That's the other thing, is that diversity is our strength in the United States, but the Republican Party sees it as a weakness, and so do the Russians. And our assumption of an ease towards diversity, even amongst the Republican, they don't even realize how diversity is interwoven into their normal life in a way that Russians would never allow. And so, even as bigoted and as socially distanced, as it were, from other strange people that they, foreigners and whatnot, minorities that the Republicans try to get, they don't even chart on how heavily that is done in the Russians. So when you hear this idea that, that there's that the Russians can use this as a weapon, not just against us, but also internally against the Republicans, I don't think they grasp the depth at which of how the Russians think of themselves as an ethno-state, as a singular religious state, and all of their any talk of diversity at all, even like roles for women and the like, is done as lip service to the West, is done as a way of shielding their reality from the West, and and as a bulwark against criticism, not because of a genuine concern for women or minority religions' place in their country. It's literally to keep the Europe.
You can take it even further and say, like, the rule of law. That the Russians jump up and down and scream whenever they make accusations that a Western power, again normally America, is breaking international law. They don't care about law. If you look internally within Russia, law is used as a weapon. It's a cudgel. And so they don't care about it actually on the global stage when it
That's
comes
right.
to global law. They
Right.
just want to be able to use it.
All of it is lip service. Let's take a break. We'll be back right after this, and I want to take a look at the Pete Hegseth story about him in the middle of a war that's not going well, shuffling people in the in the actual military, largely because he's afraid they're going to take his job, that he's the next to be gnomed. We'll be back. Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling this was going to happen. You know, I think that that Hegseth has been asking a lot of top echelon officers to do some things that they know is going to be disastrous, and they've said no,
Right.
and so he said, "Out you go."
I also think that their point in this one is that he's doing this because he's afraid he's about to be ousted, and he's trying to eliminate the potential for a replacement. Make it as hard as possible. You can't replace him with somebody that was just kicked out without it being a much bigger stink, more than Trump is probably willing to do. Right? Yeah. If he's going to replace him, it's going to be somebody that's still in there. And so you either get loyalists or, people who will guarantee that when you move from this job into your job, as a, in defense contractor world, that you can protect yourself in the aftermath, right? That you're not going to get bongholioed.
Yeah. We shall see.
This is Tom Hartman, and you're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
We got 1,230 likes right now. I think we can double that with the viewership that we have. If everybody just hits that like, I bet we can. We do have 2 thumbs down, so I want to thank the maggots that showed up. I know it's uncomfortable when they're confronted with this kind of a reality, when we, there's speaking truth to power, and then there's speaking truth to the powerless who give their power away. And I feel like our message to the maggots is you've been had, and your best course right now is to cut bait. And because this isn't going to get smarter. This isn't going to get better. There's no turnaround. Donald Trump was right the whole time coming at all. You are in a doom loop, my friends, and the sooner you wake up to it, the better off you will be. So go ahead and give us a thumbs down, if you will. It really does help. The algorithms don't care. That's one of the fascinating things about these things. All they care about is engagement, either direction. As a matter of fact, there's a case to be made that they actually like the thumbs down better. That if you're on Facebook and you're watching the show on Facebook, give us an angry emoji and just watch our numbers fly. That's how you do it. Meanwhile, subscribe. And don't forget to subscribe to Johnny Million's live stream, which is It's Johnny Million on Twitch and YouTube. Yeah. And of course, Philip Ittner's channel, Philip Ittner on YouTube, where On the Edge will be back up doing shows. And I got to say, the shows that you've done, because they deal with the life that is continuing in Ukraine while this war goes on, is still, unfortunately, I guess on some levels, still as valid. You're not making the sort of strategic toilet paper news that a lot of people end up making in a situation like this, right? You're dealing with the humanity that's there and the people involved and what they're going through and stuff. So a lot of what you're doing is evergreen as long as this war continues.
Yeah, that was always our intention, was
right.
Let other people do the kind of look at the maps and do the kind of the news of the week and that kind of stuff. We always wanted to platform either Ukrainian voices during this period of time, this incredibly historic period of time, as they're going through it, or again, people who have unique insight again during this unique period of time. Because look, this war is, we don't even know yet. Of course, it'll matter how it ends, but one way or the other, however it ends, This is one of the most historic wars we'll see in our lifetime.
Right.
Because it will determine the future of Europe. It will determine the future of the NATO alliance. It'll change the future of Russia and its place on the globe. There's a lot of stuff that is
on the line.
That is on the line and is going to be different than than before this war started. So we've always wanted to grab those people and get them on tape during this period of time so that we can always look back on this. Even if, even if some of my videos don't get watched for another 10 years, if some, researcher down the road is doing a report about, what was going on here, that material will still be there. We're documenting it as best we can, but I'm letting other people do the kind of like, news of the week sort of thing, or the looking at the maps and all that kind of stuff. We don't ignore it, but that was never the primary intent.
Sure. I wanted to bring up this story about the shuffle that's going on in the, who's running the army under Hegseth and all these things. That this is from the New York Post. This is not from the Washington Post. This is not from the New York Times. These often like liberal fake news cudgel that he uses. Trump normally likes the New York Post. This is like he used to like the Wall Street Journal before Fox had to deal with reality too many times. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth's paranoia about Army Secretary Dan Driscoll taking his job fueled the firing of the Army's top general. Current and former administration officials tell the Post as a top contender emerges to replace Driscoll if he's canned next. Hegseth on Thursday demanded the resignation of Army Chief of Staff General Randy George, Driscoll's top aide, in the middle of the Iran war for reasons that were not publicly stated, which I think this is crucial. Like, there wasn't even he wants to spend more time with his family, blah, blah, blah. It reeks of, is he the next Joe Kent to maggots? That's what they think. They're reacting to this as Driscoll was about to blow the whistle on some of this stuff, or was too close to the meetings and was was stating too many negatives. Meanwhile, Susie Wiles, there's a story that Susie Wiles has been telling everybody to tell Trump the truth because he's been getting this padded, rosy picture specifically from Hegseth about how this is going. And maybe there was a fear that, that Randy George or Driscoll will start telling the truth. And so he's trying to put the fear of firing in Driscoll, because Driscoll knows if he hangs on long enough, he will get Hegseth's job. Because this is the way the Pez dispenser is seeming to work in the Trump administration right now. This is all driven by the insecurity and paranoia that Pete has developed since Signalgate. Unfortunately, it is stoked by some of his closest aides who should be trying to calm the waters. And these are like his little bro fest of Fox Newsites that he surrounded himself with in this situation, which is, again, another unspoken reason why we're in this war, is that Pete Hegseth is completely surrounded by beyond neocons, like just jingoistic, macho, paranoid, racist jerks. It's interesting that they use the neocon thing because neocon almost carries with it that there's a plan, that there is this PNAC group of people who go, look, for America to get, like, they're almost like the general in Spies Like Us, where he's like, you'll destroy the world to preserve the American way of life. That's something I'm willing to do. It's absurd, but that's where they come from, right? That there's these guys who just, that PNAC has this crazy plan, but it's based on, however misguided, an idea that America is doomed if we rely on the Middle East for oil, and so they figuratively have us over a barrel, as it were, and can do whatever they want to us. And therefore, that's a reason enough to knock off these people. And that the fact that Iran is friendly with Iran's friendly with the Russians / the actual Soviets that still run the place and that secretly want to bring it back is why PNAC wants to do this. If you make them the hero in their own story, this is where they believe it. But the folks around Hegseth aren't anywhere near thinking this stuff through on that level. Like, they're just excited about the idea of killing Arabs. They're just excited about the idea of America leaving a blood red stain you can see from space. That this has less to do with the PNAC plan and more to do with, like, Team America World Police being like a documentary to them.
Yeah, I mean, I've met a lot of guys like that in the military who are kind of like, if we can't be top dog, then what is it worth doing anything?
Right.
We gotta be the biggest, meanest guy on the playing field, because only in that way are we going to be able to dictate what we want the world to be. And this is the opposite of alliances. This is the opposite of soft power. Why do you think they got rid of USAID? Why do you think the State Department is being hobbled? It's either America is America number one, or burn it all down. Like you said, like your example with
America number one by burning it all down, which seems to be the kind of perfect storm that we're in right now with this crowd, because they cannot envision peace through strength. They've even started talking about stability through strength. Like, they're not even looking for peace. That this is not about getting along. What they mean is a stable world order maintained by American military might, which is exactly what they alleged they were against. That's what that means. It can't mean anything else. Stability through strength, literally. Well, whose strength? Obviously, it's not like turn it over to the Europeans, right? It's going to be somebody. It's like, I got to say, like, just this is the part that is like maddeningly dismissive of the reality that Trump is surrounded. He's got a diverse cabinet of people who are all for it. That's for one reason or another. They're either for it because they really have wanted this the whole time and they kind of are in the Lindsey Graham camp, or they just like the idea of letting these people have it and they still got a grudge from the USS Cole or 9/11 or whatever, and all Muslims look alike and they all deserve the same comeuppance. So they've got a grudge for that reason. It's not even geostrategic, it's vengeful. Or you have probably the biggest slice, which is the most disturbing, that are for it because the boss is for it. And, that's Tulsi Gabbard, somebody who was against all of this stuff until she was for it. Like, it's the worst kind of flip-flopping, because it's done out of loyalty to the man, not the country. And it's done out of just, a disregard for your own self-image or your own ethics, your own morals. Just chuck them because, okay, boss says do it, we'll do it.
Yeah, and then also, the other element of that, which I find so irritating, is that there are those guys who are doing the whole absolving Trump of agency. It must, it's the old, as I had pointed out so many times about Russia, if the Tsar only knew.
Right? Yeah, I've quoted you about that in the last few weeks, because it's exactly that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, look at the famous, well, now the infamous Alex Jones, kind of like, it's time to cut bait with Trump, and it's not his fault. It's so sad. Let him go off into greener pastures, and we all get older, and it's not his fault. It's all those awful people who are around him, and it literally is the same mentality as if the Tsar only knew.
That's
because
right.
It can't be the leader that's the problem. It must be the people who are surrounding him and who are misleading him and who are. I don't believe that at all. I think Trump knows exactly what he's doing, and he just doesn't care.
Right. Well, I think there's a mix. I think there is a mix that he is, but But this mix is only, I think he's out of his mind. But I think this being out of his mind has just made him fixate more on the stuff that he's always wanted to do. That he's become, vindictive and paranoid and angry and dismissive of anybody who would criticize or contradict what he wants to do. So it's not that he's going against his own nature because he's losing his mind. He's going with his nature because he's losing his mind. Like all the pretense of playing along or doing things, playing by the rules or whatever has been ejected a long time ago. And now he doesn't even, you can't convince him of a reason to do it because he's a lame duck. He's really old. He thinks he's going to die. So he wants, to basically leave. He doesn't even care about legacy at this point. It's statues and things named after him. He named the Kennedy Center.
Name on things.
Everything. The dollar. He wants it on the Kennedy Center. He wants his name on there. He wants a monument like the Washington Monument to himself. He's going to try and rename the Washington Monument the Trump Washington Monument, but before he leaves, or he'll issue an executive order or have something the arc that he wants built. That by the way, the Arc de Triomphe, and he wants it built entering Arlington.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, after calling our soldiers suckers and losers, saying POWs aren't heroes, it's as insane as it could possibly be.
No, I hadn't heard that. Arlington. For those of you who have been to Arlington, I know this is of course maybe obvious and is maybe perhaps trite or some that is hallowed ground. I mean, that's literally, I did a report for 60 Minutes back during the Iraq War. We did a thing about Iraq War veterans who had come back and had turned against the war and were now protesting, much like the movement against the Vietnam War by Vietnam vets, right? So we tried to get permission to film at Arlington. And I have to tell you, we could, in the end, we couldn't do it.
Right.
But I went to Arlington many, many, many times to have these meetings and I walked those rows and rows and rows of dead. And I mean, it is the solemnity of that place. It's palpable. So like when I saw, what was it? When he had the family, and he was doing the thumbs up and the big smiles and the photo op, and using Arlington as a prop to get a photo op. I mean, that alone should have been disqualifying. But it's just, oh my God, he wants to put the art in front.
Yeah,
because of
we got to take a break. Yeah, we got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's so gross. It also turns out that the strike on our embassy, it was so bad in Riyadh that had it been during work hours, it would have been a mass casualty event. They kept playing it down as like it nicked a corner of the building and started a fire. Thank you. Turns out it would have killed everybody there effectively. Just it burned for hours. And then Trump has basically ignored the fact that we have pilots.
You are happy. Let us be happy together. Whether the weather is cloudy or sunny, I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky. You are lucky. Let us get lucky together. Whether the weather is cloudy or breezy, I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. Because isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you? Chugga chugga choo choo. Woo woo. I am smiling, you are smiling, let us smile together. Whether the weather is cloudy or stormy, I will still be there in the morning. I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning. I hope that you like cereal.
Yay! Welcome back. So sometimes I just need that to just calm myself in these circumstances if I do so. Yeah, bless your heart.
After hearing that, boy.
Yeah. So And I will say that they are our NASA astronauts, the most diverse group to go to the moon and back in our history. The furthest a female astronaut, a black astronaut, a Canadian. Awesome. That's even worse. Or can you believe it? They put a Canadian in there. Like, it's almost like this entire group was there as a middle finger to Trump and MAGA, and I'm enjoying it for two reasons. One is those factors freak them out, and good that they should be freaked out by that and face their own limitations. But also because all those people are immensely qualified to be in the position that they are, and they absolutely deserve to be there. And that makes it even harder for this crowd. So I become increasingly more proud at because of its direct contrast to the rest of the garbage that's going on in this administration and the like. And I have to say that the budget for all of this, just like the budget what it would take to end homelessness, has been spent in a week in this Iran war. A week.
Yeah.
1 week.
I do think, and I don't know how much of a pendulum swing back it's going to be, but I feel very strongly that there is going to, after we get this in the rearview mirror, that there will be, hey, it actually is important to have competent people doing jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't put the weekend anchor of Fox News as the Secretary of Defense. We should have
not even an anchor, one of the morning crew.
Right? But that it does matter that people have skills, and that that they are responsible and sober. And I don't just mean that with exit drinking.
But right, it just has double meaning with him, right?
Take the seriousness of the position that you have. Take it seriously, because people's lives are on the line, and we need to return to that. And that's one of the most devastating things about this entire period, for my mind, is this idea of like, it's that cartoon. I don't know where it was. It maybe in the Atlantic or something. You're like, I don't like this pilot. Who wants to be? Who wants to take the controls? I don't. I just don't like this guy. So whoever wants to take the controls of the plane. It's like, hey, obviously this brain surgeon doesn't know what he's doing. Here, you take a scalpel and do it. It's like, no, we need to return to a time when people took their jobs seriously. If your job is a serious job, take it seriously.
Well, and it's no accident. This goes to that point I was making about the Russians making up we never went to the moon story, and the people that carry that around. That is that there's always these. Very few of the things they do don't have either dual or triple use. And one of those things is to undermine respect for authority based on expertise. That this kind of categorically calling people elites in the academic world, or that kind of thing. And that the standard should be, can you get rich doing it? In which case there's this sort of gangster mentality, which is why I am not a fan of the big push of anti-heroes over the last few decades. It annoys me because I don't think people take that, what a real villain is seriously. I've said many times that if an actor tells you it's more fun to play the villain than the hero, they've never played a villain. They played a cartoon character version of a villain, or a silly, mischievous goofball version. They have not played the actual. If it's fun, you're doing it wrong. And that's one of the issues. And the Russians play into this idea that why is Joe Rogan's show as big as it is? Genuinely. Why? What gap was it filling? And you look at the bot farming, lifting of these kind of things, the push, where the money's coming from for Spotify and all these things. Why a contract that big goes to that show versus anybody else. There's a bunch of other guys who are, are arguably better to look at physically and have a more articulate frame of mind. And I'm not just talking about me. I mean, guys on that side of things that are, lean towards conspiracy theories, are just as happy talking about the same crazy crap. Why him and not them? And why the rise, when the rise happened, and why did he lean so heavily into supporting Trump? And why was he so naturally anti-Hillary, anti-Harris, anti-Biden? Not just dismissive, not just I don't trust government, but specifically making, literally, when Joe Biden made a joke about what Trump said in regard to the airports. Remember the whole situation where Trump, the army, we rammed their ramparts. We took over the airports. We did everything we had to do. That whole thing. Okay. Rogan, when he heard Joe Biden making fun of Trump, Rogan said, "Did you hear that Joe Biden said the problem with the Civil War is we didn't have enough airports?" That's basically a direct quote from Rogan, an alleged comedian who didn't understand the root, base, or function of the joke. It was too dry for him, and he just didn't get it. And he intentionally misheard it in a way that he was going to sell to his audience a sign that Joe Biden was losing his mind was that he said he was joking about what Trump actually said. Yes, he was being facetious about what Trump actually said. So,
and then 5 minutes later, when he found out it was actually Trump that said it, he was water off a duck's what.
Yes, right. Yeah, it was dismissive. Like, oh, okay, I guess I screwed that up. Never mind. Anyways, no mea culpa. No, man, am I stupid for not getting that joke as a comedian? I apologize to Joe Biden for getting it wrong.
Or even just like all the criticisms that I just levied against Joe Biden, I should now
go
be
to Trump.
Levying against Trump, right?
Right.
I should transition, but no. I'm gonna laugh and poke fun and take jibes at Biden because of repeating what Trump said. But then when he found out, when he was literally told, no, it was Trump that made this ridiculous statement, it was like, okay, whatever, shrug.
Oops.
Like,
right.
No,
Oops.
No. If you're going to attack Biden the way you've been attacking Biden for the last 5 minutes, and you find out that it's actually Trump. No, I mean, this whole mentality that it has taken such a large section of our public discourse, it has to be dealt with. It really,
and the fact, but I would say that the root of that being this kind of anti-intellectualism that Donald Trump, I love the uneducated as part of his sales point. Basically, in a moment, just having a P.T. Barnum saying the quiet part loud, admitting that that's why he doesn't believe, he likes these people because they're easier to bamboozle, they're easier to lie to, they're easier to manipulate. That's why he loves them, not because he loves the people who haven't been able to afford an education, and he thinks they deserve one. So when he gets into office, he's going to make sure they're educated, which is what Democrats do. That's what Democrats do. Democrats genuinely love people who are uneducated because that's not a state of permanence. We love the people who need an education, and we want them to be able to afford one. That's what love means to us. With Trump, it's like I love that they'll stay that way. I love dumb people, and Putin does too. And to Putin, Trump is that dumb person. If Putin ever said, I love the uneducated, he'd be talking about Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth. And he is, for all the things going wrong, he is counting his blessings that Donald Trump is there right now, right when he needs him. Philip Ittner, thank you so much. Don't forget, everybody, to subscribe to his page on YouTube, Johnny Million. It's Johnny Million on YouTube and Twitch. And don't forget the Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide show all week long, Monday through Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have a morning show. Check it out. Subscribe at infotainmentwars.com or whatever your social media site is. I got a Facebook page. You can do it there. Instagram, follow me there at Hal Sparks. You'll get there and we're done. And thank you, Chicago. And we'll see you guys next week. I was right up against the seconds. Thank you, Chicago.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chicago.
And
appreciate
it. There are 2 streams on YouTube. He's not only vertical. He's vertical and horizontal.
That's right. Because I bring whatever you want. I'll do.
I don't know.
You can,
I don't know. The people are pretty upset with this vertical thing.
They are? Because it's I'm there horizontally as well.
But they don't know that. They can't find it.
Okay, hold on. Let me make sure that this is up, because maybe
they're both there. I'm in both chats.
Yeah, they exist. Maybe we should, in case you're only watching it vertically, we should drop the link in going forward. Let's see. Yeah.
I think the issue is that the vertical link was the notification that a lot of people got.
That's good. That could be true. That's possible. Well, we're at the very least, the show was successfully launched on both, and if you want to watch it horizontally, it was all there. It is a little laggy for me, so I'm going to work on that audio-wise. But besides that, I think it worked out fairly well.
Michigan gave us Motang.
Motang.
Yeah.
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
Mm-hmm. Talk about the quiet part loud.
I had a beat off.
All right.
All right.
Those are one of those. I'm going to let you guys. Yeah, I'm going to let you guys go. Are you streaming today, Johnny Million, or do you have anything else?
I'm not. I streamed yesterday, and it was delightful.
Oh, that's awesome. I think I'm going to send you some music and have you solo over it, and send me some
That's what
back.
I do.
I know.
Doodly doodly.
Yep. I want some of your oodly doodly on there. But thank you guys. Thanks, Philip. Really appreciate you being on.
Hang in there.
Yep. Cheers.
Take care, guys. All right.
Okay, we'll see you guys later. Off they go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Yeah, this thing gets really squirrely when I think there's multiple cameras, and I don't quite know why.
Moon River.
But I like being able to do the show out here on occasion because of access to some of the other stuff, the other work that I do. Especially, basically, I'm building this so that occasionally I can do the radio show out here, and I can do Friday Eye from here, because this is the computer I do most of the modeling and stuff on. So it's always the split back and forth. Oh, there's no audio? I see audio. I see audio in here. What's happening? Maybe there's a delay. Jump. Check. Everybody hear me? Now I got to wait. Refresh. Okay, good. I thought you heard me. I don't know quite why that would be.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
I got it. I was okay. Yeah. So, and I appreciate you guys commenting on my 3D printer and the stuff in my room.
Just looking around here, I can tell you're a genuinely dirty person.
And there's my 69 Les Paul. It's the oldest guitar I have. And it's the same age as me. And that's a thing in our family. Is that it's been in the family for a very long time. And it was very cheap when it was bought. And here you go. Here, fine on Twitch. Excellent. And is there like a lag? It seems like, and maybe it's just on my side, because I've noticed this sometimes with Ecamm. Is it sometimes it'll get jagged or the audio sync will be off? Like when I had the other two guests on. For you guys, did you see? Was there a out of sync issue? I guess. With some buffering going on. That might just be the sites. That might not be anything I could do. Yep, hold on. Take this guy. Is that locked? It is. Okay. Try and do this. This will probably be better. Ta-da. Excellent. Okay. And I'm not on the Insta today. I'm going to try and fix that later on this afternoon. So I might pop on for another, for an AMA. Very slightly off. Okay, thank you. Sometimes I think it happens when the transitions occur. So I'm going to try and play around with the transitions a bit. Stream worked perfectly. Excellent. Yay. It might just be the sites. It really might be that some of them are just better and I just have to play with a, it might be that I have it set on, yeah, that's probably what it is. I have it set on the highest quality video, and some of the sites don't do that, so they have to reinterpret it, and that takes it a moment, and audio is always faster. Yeah, that'd be it. That's my guess. I think it's Twitch, because Twitch doesn't do the, 4K or whatever. Download more RAM. That's a good idea. Yeah, I can't. That's the other thing about the Mac Minis, bless their hearts, is that you can't upgrade the RAM in them. So it might ultimately be that I have to replace that one with when the M5s come out, replace the one in the main studio that I used for the big show with a studio Mac, because the M5s are so much better. And I'm, it's that computer's only a couple years old and it's already relatively obsolete. So infuriating. Anyways, hit the like, share the show. It's a perfect time financially also to have to buy a new computer. We all know it. I hear you. I will make do. Don't worry. You guys know I can duct tape a show together. That's not the problem. I'm just trying to give you guys the best quality I can without it being too much. Vertical on YouTube is terrible, teeny tiny. Yeah, it's it should just be for your phone on there. Yeah, Phil's audio, that was on his end. That wasn't something I could handle. That was I'm not quite sure what was bouncing around. Yeah. On there. When he first came on, it was very muffled. It sounded, like I said, it sounded like he was wearing a lavalier, and it was under his shirt. It was very fluffy. Found a good deal on a Dell. I guess I liked her first album, but it's not really my kind of thing. Hal Tape, great. Oh, thank you so much. You're great. There were 2 pre-shows on YouTube today. One regular, one for phone. Pre-shows. Oh, yeah. Well, I started the show beforehand. So anyways, thank you guys for... Oh, wait, hold on. I think I can do it in here. Does it work? Ding, ding. Yeah, look at that. There's the Venmo. That now works. Oh, by the way, this is also fun. So they just updated Ecamm, which is the software I'm using for this. Bless their hearts. I like it. I use it on the road, you guys know. And one frustrating point about it was that I could not do Instagram or when they allowed me, like any of the vertical sites like TikTok or something like that, live streaming. They've kicked me off. Apparently, I used too many big boy words against Trump and China. But anyways, I'll send you my desktop. I think it's the video card my son-in-law built it for. Ooh, that's lovely. Send me the specs. So thank you for switching off the YouTube ads during your live stream. Appreciate it. Absolutely. But I need your guys' help more than usual. If I do that, then I'm completely reliant on super chats and that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? It really, and to some degree, when people are feeling a little more stressed about money and stuff, obviously, they don't Venmo as much or they don't super chat as much, and I respect that and I understand that. So to compensate, the ads are a way of doing it sort of for free. No Facebook chat on Hal's screen. Oh yeah, I don't know why that it should be in there. I don't know. Does it not allow it? Is that the thing? Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It should be all the streams that are fit to print. Oh, thank you so much, Carol. Yeah, so one nice. At least I get to show the stickers. Those are fun. and try and reshape this. I also have to, you always have to do a lot of housekeeping on this as well. There you go. Put that in there. And I only have a few seconds and then it goes away. And you're like, I have to wait for another one to come around. Yeah, that's the other thing. Is like running ads on there or allowing the ads to run on there is one of the ways to compensate. I think members don't have to watch ads. Is that true on YouTube? I have YouTube Premium, like the subscription thing, because I use it for work and I can't have ads coming up on it while I'm showing you guys videos. That's one of the ways. You'll be one of the last things. Oh, thank you. Hopefully, we'll be through this current awful and past this point, or whatever. But chat's on my Facebook screen after. That's true. But I like the mixed chat. I like everything being together, and maybe that's something I can pick at. Hey, while I'm sitting here with you guys, why the heck not? Little post-show housekeeping. You guys cool with that? If you don't have anywhere to go, hang around. If you do, I understand. But I can do that. Thank you for thank you, Candy. You do so much, and I appreciate it. Why is it? And I also want to know from the Ecamm folks, why is it so? Like, I guess it has to be dynamic to fit the amount of space, but it seems like so like. I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna put it back up for a moment so I can fix it on the vertical stream so people can see that as well. It's very tiny. There you go. Yeah, so it either I'm fixing. Oh, it went away. Son of a. I'm doing it again. Hold on. Put it back up. There you go. Over here. There you go. This guy, and then this one over here, and they doubled up on here, and then back it up on there, and then there, and then okay. I think that works. Man, oh Shevitz. Bless you. So, yeah, let's see. Okay, so right now I got my camera switcher working. That gives me my plane picture. That gives me, this will be a mess, but this gives me a desktop view of some of this stuff. I still got why did that shrink? That's odd. Oh, I guess because I changed the shape of it on the other one. I'm going to have to create new ones. Everything, this kind of thing. There you go. Hold on. I got my windows all cattywampus. It's funny because I don't turn on my monetization on a lot of my videos because that means ads and also it doesn't work anyways. That's the other thing. Like, there's two things I hear from the YouTube videos that I watch all the time. One is they do these constant reminders to get everybody to. There was an echo for a moment. Yeah, some of the pages I haven't shut off the other stream because I'm using a different thing for all the audio and kind of merging it, as it were. Echoed badly. Yeah, some of the windows I just don't have. I haven't used them yet, so I don't have the other audio thing turned off. I apologize. But this is what I see the pro YouTubers doing all the time. One is they're constantly the Midas Touch guys. They do ads in the middle, maybe even in the early part of it, and at the end they have a don't forget to subscribe and stuff. They do all those. All right, I'm going to work on a video of those, and I'll give it to CSL, and he'll tack those onto the end of our shorter videos, and when things are cut. That's easy. But the other thing is, of course, there's sort of membership thing, which I'm never going to do. Even our dear Patreon folks know that I'm not going to paywall anything. I don't paywall the radio show. Little known fact, I have when I started my show with CPT, they offered 4 ad sections, 30-second ad areas during my show. They couldn't afford to pay me, but they would allow me to run ads. Like, I could sell ads, I guess, for 4 of those spaces and keep the revenue from those things on the radio show. And I said, keep it, because the station was in trouble. And it's, indie media being what it is, it's not like they have this giant outlet. And so I was like, you guys use them. I have them, I guess. And if I occasionally want to promote a show that I have coming up in the Chicagoland area or something like that, or where, it's on iHeart, so I guess goes everywhere. But I will be putting out a stream songs on an album. Yes, it's a good idea. So I just let CPT keep the ad rev completely from the show. So I do the show for free, and I have been doing it for free for 14 years, 15 years almost. Longer than that now. Jesus. With the goal being, to help the station. And it worked. The station's doing very well. And, obviously my show, even though it's only once a week, has been very helpful for CPT over the years. You should make chats sub only. Lots of streamers do that. Yeah, I've thought about that. I guess doing it on YouTube that's a good idea. Like pull the chat, because making it sub only on YouTube sort of protects against just drive-by maggot spam, right? It's sort of because you don't have to. It doesn't cost money to subscribe on YouTube. If you make it sub only on Twitch, that means that that followers, the people that don't pay for a subscription, can't chat. So I'm not going to do that. Oh, thank you, Kenny. I appreciate that so much. I appreciate that. That's so. Thank you. And this is just the financially how the show kind of has worked. Whatever goal, yeah. If you have any gold necklaces, it's time to divest, pay off credit cards. All right. I don't have any credit cards. Well, I mean, I have two, but they're like little tiny ones that I use for renting cars and stuff like that. I don't use them for anything else. Don't the MAGA spam help? Kind of, yeah. So that's the other thing. But if they're that committed to shit talking me, they can subscribe, right? Again, it's free. A little bit at a time, you're headed in the right direction. Thank you. Appreciate it. Midas Touch are terrible. They're so capitalist. I don't mind that they're capitalist. You got to keep that thing running. And it has worked. It's gotten that message up to the point where they're the #1 podcast. They muscled out Rogan in that spot. And I appreciate those guys for being unapologetically pro Joe Biden without just crapping on him the way the Pod Save America guys did, for example, at the most crucial goddamn moment. So, like the Midas Touch guys, like I have this like you do you boo attitude towards it because it doesn't exist. You don't build an infrastructure like that and pay people like Michael Popak to be able to come on and do their job there, right? My credit was to get home repairs and a proper investment. I understand that. I just don't have that. Whatever. The stream has been keeping you sane. Oh, well, thank you. So, yeah, they've gotten too much of their ads. I mean, it's a consistent model. It's everywhere else. And the weird thing is that the right does it all the time. And part of the way that they fund the entire mechanism of the right-wing media machine, right? Thank you, Julianne. Thank you. Appreciate it. Love you too. And thank you, Edward Cooley. Appreciate it. I'm Fred C. I'm not even going to try. I already did. I watch on YouTube, yet pay on Twitch. Well, thank you for that. That's if you have Amazon Prime, if you just use Amazon Prime because you have it, you can subscribe to my channel on Twitch and it doesn't cost you anything. You get a free subscription to a Twitch channel because Amazon owns it. So there you go. Thank you, Candy. Oh my God. Bless you. So this is, I'm, by the way, I'm not trying to like, I always feel uncomfortable talking about these kind of things because I'm not just trying to like shake the trees and make the apples fall. And it was interesting. I think this is probably on my mind more because I was watching videos of Paula White and what she does to raise money for her church, which is fucking gross. She's like, I feel $1,000 from 1,000 people coming at me right now. Paula White Ministries, and it worked. And they made their church was making $40 million a year. They had 20,000 members. What the hell? Thank you for being a member, Carol. So yeah, thank you guys for. I don't like the Midas Touch double dips, ad reads, and YouTube ads is too many. Okay, I understand. Yes, Amazon owns Twitch. Yeah. They bought it a long time ago, and they were going to try and turn it into a competitor for YouTube, but it didn't work. And you know, it's not that weird. Google owns YouTube, right? Yes, Paula White is a terrible person. So, and it's interesting that you say tax the churches, because you do realize her church was shut down for tax fraud. Ironically enough. Jonathan Cain must have lost his mind to marry her. Yeah, but he found his soul. Feel Trump. Yeah. Hal, are you on Blue Sky? Yes, I am. It's at halsparks.com on Blue Sky. Free ficus and salty cupcake. I know. I so want those filters to work again, and they just don't. They shut them down. There's a, yeah. I'm curious. Let me try something real quick. I'm going to do something real quick. I mean, work with me on this. It may just completely egg, but there we go. Maybe later. Okay, there we go. And then here we go. I want to try something. Can I project my... Click to start. Okay. Nope, that doesn't do it. I don't want it to do that. I don't. Disconnect. I want to share my... Oh, I know what it is. Wait. Aha. Hold on. Mirror, iPhone mirroring. Hang on. Let's see. iPhone camera, and yes, iPhone mirroring will connect when your phone camera is no longer. Oh, but I wanted to do that. Yeah, okay, that didn't work. Never mind. Yeah. Yeah, that won't work. Oh well. I was hoping the Snapchat camera would allow for me to like pipe that into this, because the Macs are all tied together and you can mirror your iPhone on there. Nope. And sad. Let's see. Is this one? There we go. Log into that. Log into this. There we go. Next. Is it going to ask me for a thing? Heads up, and no, not now. Okay, there we go. Click camera, 2 cents, snap. Okay, got it. I've got a setting for the website. Okay, allow. But the question is, okay, yeah. So borrows that camera. Let's see. All right. And maybe I borrow the virtual camera. That'll save me some weight. Now, where's this? No stories and filters. It's not letting me. Yep, just being a jerk. Not allowing for silly. Let's see. Add a plus. Do this thing. Nope, just being a jerk. Okay, never mind. He's so sad. I so want to bring those things back, but I cannot. Also, were there any people that liked the fact that we had a... whoops. Are there any people that liked the fact that we had a vertical as well? Are there any folks that are watching? I'm going to go over to, I think this is the vertical streaming one. I can't tell. I can't tell. That's the wide one. Hold on. Is it this one? Really? It's not even going to let me know which one is which? All right. I guess I'm going to have to... I'll view it on YouTube. Hopefully we won't get a sound bounce. Sorry if we do. Okay, there we go. That's the... Some reason... Okay, all right. It sounds all right. There you go. And I can see the chat on the vertical. That's okay. And the echo's gone. Okay, sorry. Sometime, yeah, I did that. I turned that on. That was my fault. But you know, we can do vertical is a mod's nightmare. I'm sorry, Andrea. It's the same chat effectively, I guess, or you know, you can open it separately in there. I suppose you're in the. Oh, I see. You're in the wrong chat. I apologize. Yeah. It should, I would think, you know what, since it's this, yeah. I hate this vertical screen on YouTube. I'm sorry. You don't have to watch it. There's a horizontal one as well. It's on my channel. You can go to it. I will, you know what I will do? I think this is what we can do. If I'm ever doing this, I may not stream vertically to YouTube ever again. I might just post it later. But, you know, I'm trying to get my numbers up, and this is one of the ways you do it. Eek. But one of the ways that I can do this is at the beginning of the show, we can put a link in for horizontal or vertical in either one. So that you know what I mean? Put a link to the vertical and the horizontal and vice versa. So that if you're in one, you can jump to the other. You don't have to be in the vertical one. You don't have to actually do it. You do not. It should, yeah. I wouldn't do it by itself. I'm not going to do it alone. If you're in the vertical and you don't like it, go to the horizontal. I'm going to do both at the same time. But some people are watching on their phone and the horizontal looks really small. And you can't, sometimes it won't let you turn it sideways, which is really messed up. The lives are great. So is thank you. I appreciate it. You're in the chat now. You're in the right chat now. Yay. Yeah. Turn your phone sideways. Right. Vertical pants should eat Tide Pods. Now. Simmer down. Premium forever. So, anyways, it would be best if I, you know, because I like going where the audience is. You guys know this about me. And I would prefer that I'm able to deliver the show both directions. I don't have to do it, like I said, Cliff's Edge keeps dumping me into vertical on my TV on YouTube and it sucks. I turn it off. I say, yeah. Well, that's why I would only do both. Doesn't let you separate links for portrait and landscape. Well, because I opened it to two different channels. I'm able to watch it in two different places. And there's below it, if you'll notice, like if you're watching vertically, if you look down to the right, probably the first live that you see offered is the vertical, or is the horizontal. Yeah. There's two separate back and forths on it. So there seem to be. Let me see if I can do this. So I'll go back to where I was. I'm going to do something real quick. Let me check this. It's a good idea. Okay, here we go. I'm going to take this, copy this link, and then I'm going to go back to the the horizontal one. You're getting me all confused. And I'm going to put it in the chat like this. And in YouTube, you should see a message from me right now that if you click, oops, okay, hold on. I wasn't the wrong one. It was the vertical. Did I put the wrong one? Yeah, I did. Hold on. Back up. There we go. There we go. Sorry, I put it in the wrong chat. There we go. It's in it might be in both, I guess. There's the horizontal. Now, so it's in it's got its whole separate chat too. Yes, there is two separate chats, Andre. I'm sorry. And you can't post links. You should be able to. I just did. So anyways, I just posted a link in there that would take you to the horizontal if you're watching it vertical. Did that work for everybody? Too many issues abandoned ship. Don't give up, Vincent. Don't give up. Robin, if you look at the link I just put in, that will take you to the horizontal one. To chat lifeboats. Yeah, I wish that I would say that if you're chatting. Oh, well, tell Gen X Rob, tell Zach Wild I say hi back, and I'm a huge fan, and he should know it. Is YouTube frozen now? God forget. Yes, it's double the fun. Absolutely. Divergent. Not a link, just text. You can post link, but mods can't. I see. I'll see if I can fix that. It took you to another vertical. Oh, beg your pardon. Okay, so maybe I put the wrong one in. Hold on. Back up. Back up. There you go. Hold on. All right. Let me grab this one and try this again. Because I'm clicking back and forth between vertical and horizontal on YouTube, not on my own, not in the background. Let's see. All right. That worked. Hey, look at that. Okay, good. Oh, so some people are in the actual, they're now in the horizontal talking about that. That's why. Who's controlling the vertical and the horizontal? Right. Rod Serling. So, yeah. So I put, this is the link I put in there. And I think it's not this one, right? Let me make sure this is different. Yeah. So there's a different link for that. Can't get the link? Okay. Link isn't recorded in the vertical. I just put it there again. So hopefully you'll be able to see it. Just came through like that. Put portrait and landscape labels on 2 links so we can see which one to click on. Both look the same right now. Okay, good point. There you go. I'll do horizontal in case people get confused over landscape. There you go. Know your outer limits. I am hoping to. Why an echo? Is there still an echo? Hold on. I think I would have gotten rid of that. Yep. Unless there was a channel open that I just have audio coming from. I hope not. Okay, I'll mute that temporarily. Did that take, was there a link on the face? Yeah, there won't be a link in the Facebook chat because this is really just for YouTube people to work out horizontal versus, hey, thank you. Thank you, PMN in Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you. Had to get on YouTube. Happy Easter to you too as well. Thank you. No link anywhere. Let's see. Both pump. Oh, thank you. Appreciate you. Sorry about Portland, being a giant crater. We'll work on it. By the way, if anybody's like, ugh, get me out of here with the post show, if you need to beg off, I completely understand. I'm just going to keep trying to improve the show in the background while this is going on. And I can only do it live. I can only, fix these kind of things and pull it later. So it's funny that way. Staff chat. Everybody going to the staff chat. Hold on. I don't think I have. Yeah, I had to do a hard restart, so I don't even have my Discord up. Who is on here uses the Discord, by the way? Our Patreons have access to a private Discord. There's a general Discord that people who watch the show are welcome to converse in. It's pretty cool. If you do the Discord thing, I'm about to launch one of the AI agents that I've been working on into the Discord so people could interact with it if they want to. I was originally going to do it using one of the big models like Claude or OpenAI, or ChatGPT, but it would be expensive because it would use up a ton of tokens. So what I'm doing is putting it on a virtual private server and giving it a local model so it can never run out of tokens. It might not be as smart as the other ones, but there you go. Sorry, CSL easy would do. CSL assume. Sorry, CSL. I got it up and running now. So Discord works now. I just have it running in a different browser or a different window. I have to scroll back across these things. There's a lot of windows open. That happens a lot while you're doing this as well. I go to Discord when it doesn't show up. I usually have it open during the show. I just end up doing what little typing I do in the chat on here. I gotta say that's like one of the other things about this is that the only reason I can think of to eventually have somebody switch the show live and do that as a job is so that I don't have to do it, so that I can interact with the chat and talk more. How come you never see CSL on YouTube? You do. It's Can't Stop Lying. That's his. I call him CSL, but that's he's there. Yeah. Hooray! I do sometimes hate watching vertical on 83 to switch over by your channel page once you mentioned it. Yay! Okay, that's how it should work. Thanks so much. People are going to start going like, please buy the new computer and get this over with. Dear God, man. I hear you. Bless you. Thank you so much. So, delivery driver sent Amazon so I could spend my entire 10-hour shift listening to you read the phone book. I'll keep running as long as you want to. Thank you. All right, I'll keep it interesting and at least kind of do a play-by-play so you can watch the road. Yes, Can't Stop Lying does Twitch mod boss for Twitch and yes, and she mods for YouTube. But CSL is in there. He's in there. Summer's doing well. She went to the gym. That's a good sign. Her appetite's been great. The 5 days after you get chemo are the worst. They're the most painful and the most uncomfortable. And there's a bunch of stuff. There's like, it seems like it was the third day last time. It was the fourth day this time. And maybe it gets pushed further. It's better for her when it kind of comes earlier and then she can recuperate, and get back to her normal self before the next treatment. So I'm just kind of, keeping track. Brought her breakfast this morning, and there's only a couple of days where she's gotten up before I have because I've stayed up late, working. I set an alarm in the morning so I can get up and get her coffee, and if she wants it, I've been trying to get her, to make sure she has. She's been great drinking water, but she needs, electrolytes as well. So Gatorade tastes okay to her. I like the Hoist drinks. Again, this is not an ad. Don't do them. But the Hoist electrolyte drinks are the best ones. They helped me with the muscle cramping that I experienced when I went carnivore in the beginning because your body has to switch over. I don't know if you know that, but when your body, if you go to a full carnivore diet, you will get you can get muscle cramps because your body isn't you're not consuming as much salt from processed foods by and large. A lot of vegetables are preserved. The preservatives in them and the magnesium that you got to start getting it from the meat instead of from other sources. So that's why people get keto flu. You've heard of that probably, where they feel like crap after they turn keto and then they get over it. That's because your body needs to switch gears and start burning fat instead of sugar. And there's a lot of other metabolic things that happen, right? And one of the ways you get around that and avoid it is make sure you're getting your electrolytes like crazy in the beginning, right? Is that if you're ever thinking about going keto or carnivore, I recommend you start taking electrolytes right before you start doing it, and then keep at it until your body transitions. Yeah, potassium does help as well, but you can overdo potassium fairly easily in supplement form. So meat makes you fat. Low carbs do. Meat won't make you fat. Lean meat can make you fat, but again, it's a transition. Yeah. What do you use again? Hoist. These I'll see if I can find them. But I just found they're the ones that were like that had the most. Hold on. This guy's. I'll show you this. This again, not an ad, not an ad at all. I will say. Does it open the window here properly? Let's see. Yeah, these things. These had the most like salt content. In terms of a beverage for electrolytes that was tolerable in flavor, and they have like liquid pouches, and then they have bottled version. That's what I did, and then they have the packets. A lot of people use Element. I'm not a fan. They're not bad, but that just wasn't my thing. I just found they had Hoist I think at Vitamin Shop or one of these places that I regularly go to. So I just picked those up, and they were great. So I'm a fan for electrolytes and whatnot. What podcast even is this? Right? Yeah. You're on a plant-based diet. Well, some people can do that. Other people, like myself, will die. Had zero chemo side effects from chemo treatment, but 2 months after, I ended up with permanent neuropathy in my feet. Acupuncture helps, but not. Yeah, Summer's doing the ice gloves to slow down the blood flow in her fingertips to keep the chemo from giving her neuropathy in her fingers and toes. She's had a little bit of that, just a wee bit. She's going to the acupuncturist now as she's doing it. I don't buy beverages, just take calcium and magnesium as a pill. I get it through different ways because I find that diversity is our strength, and inconsistency can be a win. So you hear a lot in like weightlifting circles and stuff about like phasing in and out of things or doing a cycle of something. And I'm like, it would be, do you eat liver? Yes, I do. The consistency becomes its own hell, and that people get narrowed into this, like, this is my drink, these are my supplements, and your body gets used to it, and sometimes it stops working. So I like rotating a bunch of different stuff, right? So you get it from different things. So I have I've had magnesium supplements in the past. I've had beverages that have it, and I have chewables that have it, and it just kind of does like that. And as long as it's not a fat soluble vitamin that sticks with you like A&E, your body pisses it out anyways. My problem is I go all day without eating until dinner. I know at my age I can't do that anymore. Yeah, it's not a good idea. And I do OMAD, but it's enormous and much earlier in the day. Sorry, James. I'm sorry to hear that. Big hug. Yeah, you understand. Curious, are you still on Mastodon? I still have the account. I just use Blue Sky is based on Mastodon architecture. So, yeah, it's just how my Mastodon stuff technically for howsparks.com and my main channel is how I do it. Yeah. Have you ever pressure cooked liver? No, I don't think I have. Yeah. They don't tell you about the neuropathy. I did not miss a beat during chemo, travel, gave presentations, etc. Yeah, well, that's the thing. They mentioned it a bunch in the beginning, especially with breast cancer patients. They'll, so Summer's cold capping, and she's doing the ice booties and the ice gloves to protect her fingers. She's had some tongue numbness. So you lose some sense of taste. So everything starts tasting metallic, but it isn't the food. It's obviously that your tongue is only working in certain areas. So, hi. How was the gym? Okay, that's okay. That's all right. I'm still streaming, so I'll just post it. It's good. You're doing it. Yep. Better to have that kind of like just slow and steady right now. Mm-hmm. Right. Yay. Okay. Love you. So, they're saying, hi, Summer, and proud of you. Wash your liver with milk. Yeah, it's Summers needs to eat some liver, so I've been threatening to cook it for her for a little bit. Yeah, but we would take we take beef liver, freeze dried the beef liver supplements. Yeah, it is. It's a big step. Absolutely. I know. Yeah. And I think once you can get around chewing it, there's a lot of, yeah. Q Summerland, exactly. All right, that'll work. So everything's relative. Her watch said it was a hard workout, so that should be enough. She goes, it's what? That's good. It's a little chilly. What? Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Liver. Oh, your nose hairs are gone? Right. It won't stop anything, right? Yeah. Yeah, you get postnasal drip just because it's normal. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, she's shedding. Hair is starting to get, like, she thinks she's bald on top and she's got so much hair, like, I can't tell the way she can. You have not lost 75%. I've seen that, but that's not 75% of your hair. This is, yeah. 40. Yeah. Yeah, I know you have places, but you have you can't see it normally because your big thick hair in the front covers it. That's what I mean. No, it is. You do not have a mustache on your head. You did. I get it. You're like a Wyatt Earping. Yeah. Because you have a part in the center. Right. But it's still not like, okay. I'm not going to tell you how to feel about your hair. I'm just telling you. Yeah. I understand. Yes. 75% of volume, maybe, but not the content. Yes. Is there a good mullet? She said it turned into a bad mullet. Which Wildwood said, I had surgery and radiation for cancer a year ago, still recovering financially. So just a wee bit of love today. Oh, thank you. Membership every month. Bless you for that. That's very nice. I tried liver, texture difficult. I got to tell you, one of my favorite ways of eating it is frozen. And then I slice a sliver of it and eat it raw. Yeah, well, at this point, yeah. Since you're, it's a texture thing, right? It's a little gritty. Is how sometimes it feels, when you're eating. Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's right. Liver tastes like the Beyond steaks. I cooked. She got these Beyond Meat steaks that you can get, which are hilariously bloody. So to compensate for the fact that they're not real meat, they are soaked in what looks like beet juice or whatever. So when I make a steak, there's always huh? No, I appreciate that, but this is just the way they mock it up to make it like meat, and it was just like, it stained the cutting board. It looked like I'd been committing murder. And it was really just, beet juice probably. But, which reminds me of the Have You Been Eating Beets sketch from Portlandia. And yeah, that's right. Yeah. Which is a terrifying moment for people. And they were good. They turned out all right. They're sweet, which was curious. I don't know that you noticed as much again because your taste buds. Yeah, no, I think my next thing is I want to cook them in like a garlic sauce. I feel like they would work really well that way, but I didn't know what they tasted like to start, so I don't even know where it will go. You can, like, all right, yeah, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm working too hard. Pork chops and applesauce. That's a good idea. Thank you, Hal, for listening to all our suggestions for your show. Make more Billy Bob Beans ads. Your viewership will increase tenfold. Oh yeah, I'll play my. I should. You know what I should do? I should do some of the commercial sketches I did for Sexy Liberal and just turn those into ads to remind people to subscribe, and that's it. Like chicken livers. Yeah, chicken livers are easy to eat. I ate beets and was reminded twice that it had me concerned. Right, exactly. It looks like your mouth is bleeding, and then the other end. Yeah, whatever. There's a great sketch on Portlandia about people calling 911 because they think they're dying, and they're like, "Have you eaten any beets?" Like, "Oh, I had beets. That explains it." I think I'm dying. Oh, this guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's darker than it shows up on the show. I still got to work on the. I don't know why the like. I'm troubleshooting, so I stayed on afterwards to kind of get this thing to troubleshoot, and let's see if it reframes. There we go. Yeah, understood. Makes total sense. So, there's a place near you called Gizzard City. What's the name of the place we're supposed to order it from? The Blueberry Hill? Yeah, a diner that does, because it's mostly breakfasty kind of stuff. So they might still have it. Yeah, let's give it a try. If you like ordering it. You don't have to eat it. I'll eat it if it's terrible, but you can give it a try, right? If you want. If you want. You don't have to. Right. It's yeah, okay. Well, yeah. Then yeah, order it and give it a try and see if you like the texture. If not, I'll find another way to cook it for you. Pate's another way to go as well, Okay. Okay. All right. I'm not pushing you. I'm just offering. That was a suggestion from them. So, too, they were like, if she's taking her liver pill, she's fine. All right, good. No, we're all right. Candy says, I eat a lot of beans and tofu. Cheap date. Only reason I have extra super chat money. Oh, that's sweet. I think I lived on beans and rice most of the 90s because of something that Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers said, because that was basically what he lived on. Pate is the texture they don't like. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, it becomes a spread. Yeah, give it to Hal. He'll eat anything. That's true. It's couples talk with Hal and Summer. Love you. I'm proud of you for going and working out. You feel like crud. You're beautiful. And it's not just me saying it, so you can't just dismiss it. They're saying it too. How many people watch Summer's show on her Facebook page in the chat? I'm curious. Because you get to see a lot more of Murphy there than you get to see of him here. Chicken liver pate fried, awesome stuff after treatments. Okay, I can see that. We concur. That's right. See, they concur with me that you're beautiful and beloved. So there. Go relax. You had a big morning. It's a lot. Think about dinner. And if it's nice enough outside, maybe we'll sit outside and finally make good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can hose it down and let it dry off after this. Okay. Right. I don't think the birds have had a chance to crap on our yard furniture right now because the wind's been so busy. I don't know that they could stay still. And the hummingbirds are so small, I don't even know you can notice it. Looks like ant shit. We have hummingbirds in our backyard, and they're they're the only ones I think who could stay steady during the when in the wind. Tell Summer never ever give up. Okay. I won't let her. Tiny dancer vibes. Yeah, definitely. Hold me closer, tiny dancer. Yeah. The irony that, that I think it was a decent Elton John fan, but that song and Rocket Man have both had, very important place in her life. I have dying ash trees in my backyard. Oh no. They love bee balm. Right. It's the fly poop that gets all over. That, like in Smokey and the Bandit. Car's all wrecked and he goes, "What was that, Daddy?" "Piece of fly shit." Hold me closer, Tony Danza. I think that would be the song that they would use in Almost Famous. If you know, you know. If you get the joke, you get the joke. Packed my bags last night, pre-flight. 0 hour, 9 a.m. I bet you will kick her in the ass to keep her going. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. But, in many ways, that's what the other thing I love about her is that I don't necessarily have to. I just got to make sure that arguably I have to make sure that she doesn't. The only hard part is making sure she doesn't run herself down or expect too much from herself too quickly. And then, because we're both get back in the saddle people. And sometimes you got to, man's got to know his limitations. You got to be careful not to overdo it. Where do you find, let's see. It's her Facebook page is called Summer Lovin'. I don't even know if she wants me to spread it around. She does very well. She does very well on her Facebook page. She does better than I do on this show, by far. But then she's not, drinking from the fire hose of news, and hopefully so. For 2028. For prison, you mean? You don't actually think he's going to live that long, do you? Hilarious. The Shatner version of Rocket Man is classic, I insist. She packed my bags last night. Pre-flight. 0 hour. 9 a.m. And I'm going to be as a kite by then. Mr. Spock, I don't understand. Thank you. See, on Facebook, December 11. Okay, there you go. Can't communicate going forward. Please forgive for 2 seconds. No worries. Do what you got to do. Absolutely. If you guys need to beg off, you can. You got me distracted. I stopped working on the show and started turning this into an AMA. So let me finish fixing what I was fixing, and then I'm going to pomp off in this regard. Oh, I know. There might be one of the things that I can only fix after the fact. Okay, there's a source. I'm going to fix all the things I need to fix while I'm on air, and then I'm going to bug out and fix stuff off air after that. Video monitor off, audio monitor off, NDI output off. Okay, virtual cam is ready, virtual mic is ready. The sharing window, I don't even know what the hell that is. Yeah, okay. Okay, so the vertical, that's probably the issue. Is I have the horizontal canvas set to really high, and I don't think Twitch can do that. So that will create a delay, and it will also put more demands on my streaming stuff while I'm doing it. And then let's see what our transition is. Default should be live motion. And see if that works. 1 second. And then we'll come back to here, probably. Whoop. Whoop. That's much better. Whoop. Come back to here. Back to there. Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, your liver's feeling unsafe. It is delicious. So, all right, I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys for sticking around and taking care of me the way you do and supporting the show. I'm gonna put the ticker back up at the bottom next time we do it here. Sorry, there's somebody at the door. I don't know who that is. Are we expecting anybody, babe? Okay. Hold on one second. Oh, yeah. We're good. No, we already got fiber. We're good. Yep. Thank you. Thanks. I'm on right now. Yeah, thank you. They want to switch the company that controls the fiber that runs to the house, and it doesn't matter. It's like if one company runs the fiber cable and versus another, if you buy, we have to use the top fiber in and out, like our internet bill is ridiculous, but I have to because this is our business, right? Both of us use it for work, and nobody is actually putting like our fiber optic makes your stream smell like lavender. That's pretty much it. It's not a scam. They're just trying to sell the service. And I don't have a hostility to any of those folks, but do what we got fiber. I'm on the You can't get fiber in Anaheim Hills. I mean, it's going to be that. And then the compression algorithm is going to get so good that you won't necessarily need it. But right now, that's what I need. I had to, don't get me started on the whole process of trying to work that out. And the funny thing is that all of these pieces of software that I use are getting better with limits, obviously. And really the bottleneck is the computer at this point. So, yeah, we got a Ring doorbell as well, but he knocked. Now I have a little, it's me. So of course I have cameras all over the house and outside. And of course if you open HomeKit, I can see the front door. And of course it puts a notification up, but since I'm sitting right here, I could just see them, but it pops up I get a little notification up in all of my computer screens when I'm working, even when I'm doing the show that says, hey, there's a person walking up the steps carrying a package. Like I've got an AI on there that actually tells me who they are. If I know them, it knows their face. Like if it's me or Summer or our kids or some of our friends that have come over before, it'll recognize them and go, hey, Mark's coming up the steps. But if we don't know them, it'll just say a person. And so if someone's at or near the door, doesn't everyone's? I got to tell you, man, I think one of the most shocking stories about the Nancy Guthrie thing is that they didn't have they had Ring cameras, but no subscription. Like that, considering who her daughter is, and I'm not blaming her, I just find it a curiosity. The idea that they didn't have all of that stuff is crazy to me. And I got to tell you, like if, one of the things when they were suspecting her brother or brother-in-law of being involved in this, the only part that made me kind of, think, besides, I don't know any of these people, so it could be a possibility. A lot of times it is somebody who knows them, whatever. But the only thing that made me think maybe there is something to that is that does he, because they're close, Samantha Guthrie lives in New York, were they in charge of like her house and her stuff, and therefore whether or not she had a Ring subscription, or maybe they put the cameras up, but then knew she didn't have a subscription because they're helping with all that stuff? Yeah, Medic Life Alert, Nest subscription, completely agree. She's just still missing. It's super weird. They have not found her. It's heartbreaking. And I feel bad for Samantha Guthrie. I saw the interview that she gave and just devastating. And I guess I'm going to warn you guys up front, but were something to happen to a loved one of mine likened to that, never mind the perpetrators having me hunting them for the rest of their lives, but I might just go on an awful spree just not liking criminals at all. You know what I mean? Like it would be hard to maintain. Like to just get the pressure of what happened and how could this happen and what and where, you know, if she's alive, where is she, and if she died, how did she die, and all that. Like, holy God. Like I'd basically like rage quit society. Yeah, I'd go 100% Batman. Like I just don't like. I don't, you know, in that circumstance. Water got like, since I'm in a wheelchair, I got nothing to lose. You take my family out. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, you those. I mean, I'm a big. I was about to say I'm a big fan. That's not even enough. I love the movie The Crow, and I am so heartbroken by the death of Brandon. When I'm in Seattle area, I always go visit his and Bruce's grave. When I'm there, because of the impact that both of them had on my life. And like I remember seeing The Crow, and I'm like, this movie understands me. Like I feel like I would crawl out of the earth to avenge loved ones that happened to. I get it. Like, yeah. And there's a line in the, you know, because he died making that movie. There's a line in the movie that is just, Brandon was going to marry his fiance when they were done filming the movie. They were engaged. And there's a point where Ernie Hudson says, in a scene where they had this scene in Ernie Hudson's apartment where he shows up, and as he's leaving, Ernie Hudson says, "Hey, sorry about what happened to you and your girlfriend." And the line from Eric Draven is, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's true. The Crow is based on an original, the comic creator's loss of a girlfriend in real life. Yep. Yep. Crazy, insane alien. It's funny how many, I would say, liberals, and, you know, have that reflex. I know it personally, but somehow we, you know, it's actually a bridge point we could probably have with conservatives who are under the impression that they have that. And, you know, this care for, like, this empathy for victims could be one of the biggest bridges to try and bring people back around to caring about democratic priorities and the like, you know? And I think it's a missed opportunity. Conspiracy is that it's the son-in-law. I mean, I feel like most people feel that way. You know, we won't know till we know. And I'm of two minds about it. On the one hand, I think our focus should always be on an empathetic reflex towards the other victims in this, which are the family members. And then if anybody does think they have a lead or an idea or whatever, they should, to the extent that they can or want to, present that to the authorities and try to help. Sorry, crazy, insane alien. So, you know, I'm not against, you know, the sort of like online sleuths. I think they screw up a lot, and I think they, you know, can cause trouble for innocent people and all that. I mean, that's why we don't have, you know, like these are basically online posses in many ways. But as long as they don't get you arrested when you're not guilty, or you know, get you fired when you're not guilty, your name's going to come up around stuff like this. You know, this is one of the other things. My true crime friends out there in the chat room, I think by now, every adult, at the very least, that's under the age, I'm going to give a big, like, cushiony window, under the age of 75 and over the age of 26. In that window, you should be well aware, and I think everybody else should be too, but certainly this window, culturally speaking, age-wise, Gen X to Gen Z to the bottom end of the boomer crowd, should be aware that anytime a loved one of yours is, God forbid, murdered or disappears, the first people they're going to check is the people closest to them. And getting offended by that or feeling, outraged at the accusation should be, I don't understand how anybody has that reaction anymore. Your natural reaction should be like, okay, they're going to want to know where all of us were. They're going to want to know if we had financial, emotional, sexual, psychosexual, property arguments with them. They're going to know, then we're going to know where we are and all that kind of stuff. So please just give them that information as fast as you can so they can move on and find who did this. Right? That would, I know in my own heart, that would be my immediate reaction. Right? You would just go, it's procedure, and it's also statistically the reality. Most of the time, that's how it is. Cooperate immediately, get it over with. And if you're worried because you have a watery alibi that okay, I can't really verify where I was, that I can't think of a way to verify where I was at the exact time when it happened, or I'm not even sure when it happened. You can do this too. Get a lawyer and fully cooperate, and let the lawyer, sit there as notes going, look, I'm just going to tell you everything or whatever. He's only going to stop me if it'll lead you guys down the wrong path. That's it. So that I don't say something, that makes you think you've got to go down this rabbit hole with me. My partner died at home. I was looked at. First of all, Thomas, I'm so sorry. And secondly, yes, that's how it happens. Especially violence towards women. It's someone you know. Interestingly enough, the only difference usually between spousal murder is that women oftentimes hire another male to do it if they don't poison them, like that woman who just poisoned her husband with fentanyl. That was in the news. That just was a big court case. But yes, and I would say a lot of times in the whole like Matt Walsh, where they think like liberals don't, know the difference between a man and a woman and blah, 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 because man and woman is not the same as male and female. And again, these are colloquialisms that we have used interchangeably for a lot of things over time. But I would argue that a woman is more likely to be the victim of sexual crime and more likely to be the victim of domestic violence and being murdered by their partner. That's part of the definition of being a woman. And therefore, when things like that happen, it is completely reasonable that the police would try to check that off their list first. Right? That is a key in this situation. And I think anybody in their, even in the shock of these kind of things happening, our cultural awareness nowadays, everybody's like, okay, you're going to want to clear me. After the shock and the horror initially goes, you're going to want to, like, I feel like the natural, once you settle down and get a grip on, oh my God, this is really happening. If your first reflex isn't to, like, yeah, it took a year to arrest her. That's exactly right. If your first reflex isn't to, okay, if they need to clear me so they can find out who did this. And everybody that lives in this house with us, where was I? Where were the kids? What were we doing? Are there any issues? All that kind of stuff. They're going to need to know all that stuff because I know I'm innocent. Therefore, let's get it out of the way. So crucial. Stepfather had taken a fall, so they just had to make sure it was really a fall, but it is uncomfortable. Feeling defensive is normal. But like Hal says, you know it has to come. Absolutely, because here's the thing. Don't think of it in terms of how are they accusing me or how can they believe this about me in this situation. It's not about you. It's about the standard operating procedure for when it is that situation. You wouldn't want them to be afraid to ask the family members about reasons they might have for killing someone in another case where they did kill that person. And so that's why it's got to be a procedure that has, the law, it's the old Lenny Bruce thing about, A, B, and C. We got laws that aunt, your brother, your mother, my ass. It doesn't matter. We eat in area A, we sleep in area B, we throw our garbage in area C. Savvy, that's it. It's the rule is the rule. And the same thing is true when you're eliminating suspects and all those kind of things. So when those kind of things happen, and this is even true of when you get pulled over and they ask you if you got a weapon in the car. If you want to know why they ask you if you've got a weapon in the car, go down the rabbit hole of watching the moments in a traffic cop's life when it's gone from 0 to shootout in 5 seconds with no warning. That happens far more frequently than we're aware, so much so that it barely makes the news. And unless it usually doesn't unless the cop is wounded or killed. Right? If they're wounded, it only makes the news if the other person is either dead or got away. You just don't hear about it. But if you want to know why they, act the way they do, why they take the precautions they do, go just spend an afternoon. Go down that rabbit hole and you will completely understand. And you'll go, all right, what we need are better options than putting people in harm's way to deal with these kind of situations. Because a human being whose life is on the line really only has a couple of options. You've seen that happen? Oh, dear God. Yeah, YouTube has police cam footage shows you learn so much. Absolutely. So again, like, if you have the ability to be empathetic and you have the ability to comprehend these kind of things, then do it. Don't let the Donald Trumps of the world set the ground for what it means to be a police officer in this world, or the bad cops like, in the George Floyd case, to let you, pepper all cops that way. That's what the ACAB thing is. Whoops, sorry. I can't take a call right now. Sorry. I don't want no, thank you. I don't no, thank you. I got it. Thank you. No, got it. That's what bigotry is. And if you think you're incapable of bigotry, look at the areas where you self-righteously claim a group of people is indicative of members of that group. It's tough. Here, I'll give you the hardest one. Billionaires. Right? See what I mean? That one seems right. Seems okay. But what it tells you is that everybody has the bigoted pattern-seeking reflex if you can't shake it or look through it. Right? But that was justified. Oh, okay. All right. That's exactly what they think. They'll look at the crime stats for black people in the inner cities and lay that over everybody else. They'll do the exact same thing, and they think it's completely justified. And also, the billionaires aren't the 1%. They are not. They're the 0.5%. 0.05% even. Right. Okay, so billionaires in the Epstein files. Great point. So Karen brings up in the chat, billionaires in the Epstein files. I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people in the Epstein files that are not even millionaires who are equally as guilty, who are active participants in that awful. Right? So if they're, I don't think the rich get bored. I don't think the default for boredom in a human being is pedophilia. Like that doesn't. I've seen that one floated around as well. That doesn't make any sense to me. You don't think there's not like bored rednecks on welfare? You think they're all doing that as well? Yeah, the only difference is that they've got, the recourse maybe to hide it and not get caught a little better, or people are afraid to prosecute them, which is a different rule and a different circumstance than simply the evil of doing it. The support staff, right. I mean, they're just doing it for a paycheck. Let me tell you something. Those pilots that flew for Jeffrey Epstein and flew for Donald Trump, because Epstein flew on his plane a bunch of times as well, those guys, do you know like how much like private pilots get paid? Chris DeGarmo, the guitar player for Queensryche, quit the music industry after a while because he was just, he was never in it for the fame and stuff, and it was just too overwhelming. And he had enough money, he'd made it or whatever. He got his commercial pilot's license and became a private pilot. And probably, I mean, I know he makes more money as a pilot doing that than both versions of Queensryche, Jeff Tate and Queensryche, that tour around doing shows. It's a highly sought after, very narrow field, which is very expensive. And let me tell you something: if those guys were flying Epstein and Trump around, they could get jobs elsewhere. Wow, I guess I clicked off a conversation now. Yeah, corporate jet pilots are paid very well, and they're in high demand. So after a while, I got to say, think you're kind of flying with them because you wanna. If you stuck around for a while, right? George says, been arrested many times, been homeless many times, interacted with hundreds of cops, 3 were bad. That's about the number, right? There are 17,000 police departments and, from state to local sheriff's departments and all this stuff in the country. 17,000, 50 states, 17,000 law enforcement departments in the country. Over 1 billion interactions with the public every year. 1 billion times a year, somebody gets pulled over, or a door gets kicked in, or somebody gets arrested, or served papers, or, for everything from evictions to all the stuff that police have to do, which is really bizarre that a bank gets to send a cop on the public's dime to do their business, right? 1 billion interactions. How many have you heard of? How many interactions with the police that you didn't see personally, but that have you heard about? Rita says too many. Okay, that's relative. I understand that. Honest to God, though, 12? 24? Well, I mean, from Rodney King to George Floyd to Waco, maybe. Ruby Ridge. Think of that, though. Over the years, probably 2 a year tops. And there are 1 billion interactions every year. So where are those pilots, and why are they not coming forward to testify? I will tell you that they have not been called to testify in some of these things. They have been called to testify in the civil suits, I believe, and they were responsible for some of the, the money and whatnot. I guess it would be the flight attendants that interacted with the passengers. And I think there's probably a level of, besides filling out the flight logs, the pilots could claim, well, I was in the cabin with the door shut and I didn't really use the bathroom the whole time. Yeah, NDAs don't cover you with a crime, though. Hundreds, but it's your algorithm. Right, exactly. Whoops. It's just a few bad cops, but they've been bad over and over again. That's a good point. And that's why Obama and Biden put together the cops program that was supposed to bounce bad cops because it was hard for police departments to fire them, right? Because there's so many people, criminals, that file false charges against police officers all the time that that the natural reflex is to not believe any of it and to push back on it as hard as possible. So bad cops use that as the shield to protect themselves. The attacks on good cops by criminals, trying to get them to lose their badge or their pension and those kind of things, is what the bad cops use as a shield for their behavior. And the cops program was supposed to fix that. Guess who ended it? Guess who ended it 2 years before George Floyd happened? That program would have gotten rid of Derek Chauvin more than likely. Same thing with COVID. We had wow, there might be another pandemic. It's just a matter of time. We're an international country. We got all this business. There's going to be a pathogen going around, and at some point, it's going to jump from animals to, to humans, or one of the ones that's in humans is going to grow to a really dangerous level and spread and become virulent and deadly. We should probably have a plan in place. And so Obama and Biden put one together. And who got rid of it? 2 years before COVID? Right. Trump did. Your son was going to be a cop and ended up going a different route. Happy he did, but would have been fantastic in law enforcement. No doubt. Why does my phone keep trying to connect with keeps wanting to, because I tried that thing trying to use the camera earlier. It's after talks. Is this how like live streams happen when streams just go on forever? Like the live streamers, is this how they do their shows? Is they just sit in a chair? This is why I do my show standing up, because it's too easy to just sit there and blather all day. Not that that's what I'm doing. Obviously, everything I say is I'm dropping bombs. These are gems, right? It's all gold, baby. I know that how many bad cops get hired in other states, and the evil is still there. Mm-hmm. Well, that was also part of the cops program, right? Trump is the worst thing that happened to the whole world. I think he's up there with tuberculosis. So, which, interestingly enough, was took more lives and was more damaging than HIV turned out to be, because we got to jump on it. And isn't it funny how time matters so much? That the issues that we have to deal with, our solutions might just be a factor of, wow, if this had happened 50 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to solve it at all. We wouldn't have been able to tell people that, like Spanish flu, the reason it was as successful as it was and killing people is because there was no matrix to tell everybody to stay indoors. There was no, the telephone system wasn't even ubiquitous, and available to regular people. You had to telegram cities and go, hey, by the way, be careful. And nobody listened to anybody. The only thing that kept people alive during the Spanish flu was how disconnected society was. That people lived out in the fucking sticks. That they weren't connected. There was no mall to go to. And even when you did, you're like, who the fuck are these people, right? I call Turtle Boy tuberculosis. Yeah. Are bad priests statistically similar? Absolutely. Yeah. Where's Hal? I'm at home. I'm just sitting at my sitting desk. This is where I do my kind of regular work. This is the computer that it's just a little Mac Mini. It's no big deal, but I had it for a while, and when Summer's son moved out, we had this extra desk, and so I moved it downstairs, and then I hooked up my mini over here, and we took the TV that was in his room because he got a different TV, and I put it in here. So there you go. And my headphones are dying because I've been using them too long. Not that it matters because I'm just chit-chatting with you guys. So, and if I play something, I doubt we'll have an echo problem. But in the mood to bitch today, yeah. You hear that HIV and syphilis is spreading? Yeah, there's comorbidity with them in Michigan and a couple other places. That's not surprising. That's always been the case. They're usually linked to intravenous drug use because it's the easiest way for them to be communicated. Sex as communication for a communicable disease is still quirky. Doesn't always do the job, right? Blood to blood is always the best transfer, and as much as possible, because there's no guarantee of the transfer. And things like PrEP and other things are available to people who might be, have this as a possibility. And then, of course, unless you're Donald Trump, a run of antibiotics early on will help with syphilis, I suppose. Hope I never have to find out. Right, like the rest of us. But there's been a co-strain of it showing up in places, and by and large, it's around and traces directly with areas that are open, sort of drug markets, and where people are using, and the rules and laws have become lax, and which feeds into my belief system that. Some people might believe that, like, just legalize all drugs and tax them and it'll be fine. In reality, what they mean by fine is the people that use that shit will be dead in a few months and we won't have to deal with them anymore. I'm never going to do that needle shit. It'll kill off all those guys. And, and we want, after a short, ugly period, we'll never have to deal with them again. Plasma's a good one. Yeah. So, yeah, that's, I will say the ceremony among Catholics alone is quite the head turner, shall we say? Catholics? Is that a Catholic addict who's addicted to Catholicism? Catholic? I remember the relationship of Michael and the professor around safe sex. I really, really love Michael. I do too. Thank you, Water Goddess. We caught a lot of shit for that one. Because we were telling the reality of that story and the fears that are baked into it, especially at that time when it was still considered a death sentence. And the idea was that, Michael was afraid that he might, he's dating somebody who's HIV positive. If he ends up HIV positive, are they both going to die? Is it worth it? No matter how much you love somebody, are you seriously in love with this person? Could infatuation lead you to your own death if you're not really in love and you're just caught up? And his mother was afraid for him, and even as supportive as Debbie was, she was scared that he might die, and so she was reacting from that point of view. And man, did we get hate mail between those episodes. Lots of it. Oh, yeah. It was like, Debbie is dead to me. Michael's a monster. Because there was a scene where Ben and Michael were going to have sex for the first time. And Michael goes to the bathroom and he opens up the medicine cabinet and he sees all of his HIV meds. And he can't go through with it. And because it scares him. And I mean, I was a monster to people, and like for weeks after that show. I mean, I literally think an episode later we answered that, but it was the cliffhanger part of it. Not just for talking about it, but the idea that Debbie was scared for her son. She didn't want him to catch a communicable disease and die. And at that point, it was, all but guaranteed. And Michael was afraid of it. He didn't think he was, but then it turned out he actually was, because it's a big deal. Right? And the episodes where we showed the characters, confronting those fears and experiencing them, recognizing them as real, people had a very angry reaction. Like, and by the way, and which was weird too, because knowing the show, you've been watching the show for a while. What do you think's going to happen? You think that's the way the show's going to go? You think that they're just doing this whole thing's been a setup? Instead, you know, we're doing a show, the most like gay forward show in the history of television. You think we're doing that just so we can mock and diminish people with HIV? Like, it's silly. Come on. But the reaction was swift and toxic. So, yeah. All right. I'm going to let you guys go. So I'm going to finish working on parts of this setup that will probably solve the lagging audio issues when I have guests and other stuff on. I might jump back on a little bit later just to test it, as I do sometimes. If my channel pops up and it's just static, that's a throughput test that the thing does occasionally. But yeah. No one knows, always said no one knows what they will do in the situation until they're there, no matter how much you think it over, plan, debate, learn. Yeah, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face, basically. And there's the John Rambo movie about where he's working in Thailand and he gives the Christian group a ride up the river to give Bibles and teach to people, and he does it because there's doctors with him and all this stuff. And the woman who dated Dexter convinces him to take them. Mary Dexter, I guess, convinces him to take him up the river, and he's like, and on their way up the river, they get boarded, and he has to kill 4 people to save everybody on the boat. And the guy's like, the minister that's with him is like, you had no right to do that, and he's like, they had killed you and done thing and turned her inside out, basically. And that guy, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, ends up having to save his own life, bash another dude's head in, and one of the army guys' heads in with a rock to save his own life. Yeah, sound like you are in a casting room. So people always have these kind of like ethical standards, and your ethical standards are only really your ethical standards when they're tested, and you can live up to them, right? So anyways, that said, I'll leave you guys, and let's see, do I have, yeah, I'll see if I can, I think I have and some outro music somewhere. Yeah. I don't know which windows I shut in all of this. There you go. Okay. There's this one. Go back to my library. And go back to creative, and this kind of thing. And then I think I have, and I'll have to open my other thing. So, and now we check and see if that's coming through. Yeah, it is. Okay, excellent. Okay, I'll see you guys later. All the kitties are upstairs. I think I scared them by talking out here. All right. I gotta mute my mic or it'll feedback. All right, cheers. See you guys later on today, probably.
Now the hair shaking on the tarmac, dust still in the folds of my hands. You look up, but your sky is crowded, tiny screens drowning out the span. Every face glowing in the blue light, every street buzzing, sharp and loud. I float in the gravity of old fights. You laugh like it's just another cloud. I say broken heart. Nights grow long and shadows tall, and autumn's flame reminds me. You're living dreams of mine, dying to see you all the time. Trapped in memory, haunted, alone in love. Haunted, alone in love. I'll see you in my dreams. I feel you in dreams. Leaves fall dead and lovers cry, and in my arms you die tonight. And the outer dawn bleeds with my pain. Alone in love I'll be again. You remind me. You're living dreams of time in years that we never born. Never mind. In memory, haunted, alone in love. Haunted, alone in love. I'll see you in my dreams. I feel you in You move like lightning on my skin, a sacred equation dreaming of sin. My touch is a promise from a liar, cold as ice that cries out for fire.